Check. 1, 2, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, another edition of Hot Topic Celeb TV After Dark. Tonight, joining us in the building, a very special guest that I've been very excited to have on tonight. Been waiting for her for a long time to join us. She is the female John Wick, as you guys know. She is the legendary. She is an actress. She is a model. She is the baddest woman to me on the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have a very talented woman. You're going to get to hear her story. You're going to get to hear all about her journey to the top of the game. She is the incredible. She is the beautiful. She is the oh so sexy. Miss Jade Struck will be joining us tonight on Hot Topic Celeb TV. Don't forget, if you guys are tuning in for the first time, make sure you hit in the bio on this page. Hit the link in the bio. Also, we're doing live-in callers later on tonight where you guys can ask Jade a question. If you're looking to do so, you need to do two things before we get started. Make sure you guys are following at DTEFLON. Also be following this channel at Hot Topic Celeb TV. If you're not following either of these channels, at DTEFLON and at Hot Topic Celeb TV, you will not be able to call in and ask Jade a question directly. So make sure you guys let us know also where you're from tonight. Don't forget, of course, you can join us each and every Sunday. I'm your host, D-TEFLON on the MIC. Tonight in the place to be, the beautiful Jade Struck will be joining us. Check. 1, 2. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, in the building, joining us, and I'm so excited to have this lady on. She, as you guys know, is one of the baddest women on the planet. She makes Billy the Kid look like a rookie. She is the female John Wick. She is the sexy. She is the talented. She is the beautiful. She is the one and the only, the legendary, the iconic, the oh so talented Jade Struck in the building, ladies and gentlemen, tonight. Welcome, Miss Jade.
Thank you. That's a great intro. Thank you.
You are more than welcome. Guys, don't forget, I want you guys to let us know where you guys are joining us from tonight. Also, before we get started, so you guys can make sure you're hearing our audio correctly, please throw a thumbs up into the comments that you guys are hearing us on both ends tonight. Please, before we get started, make sure you guys throw a thumbs up into the comments so we can see that you guys are hearing us correctly. Let me just make sure you guys are hearing us, guys, well. Don't forget, guys, please throw a thumbs up into the comments if you can hear. Jade, give me a test. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3 testing. 1, 2, 3.
Guys, if you guys can hear Jade, please throw a thumbs up into the comments here, please.
You got a vibe going. And you got 2 phones.
Of course I got 2 phones. I gotta keep everything broadcasting on every specific channel. So we're broadcasting on the website, we're broadcasting on YouTube, we're broadcasting here, we're broadcasting on Facebook. So the whole world is gonna be able to see your beautiful face tonight. Guys, let us know where you are falling from. And tonight, welcome, Miss Jade Struck. I am so glad to have you on, pretty lady. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So how have you been holding up throughout this this crazy
Time?
2 years of madness of COVID-19?
I've been good. I mean, I think it's the best thing that ever happened to me. But mainly because I was in a season of already hiding. And so when everything happened, I'm like, perfect, you know, like, so it was good. I moved twice since the pandemic and everything. First went to Idaho and now I'm in South Carolina. So it's been good. I'm making my way down to Florida though.
You have a home whenever you want.
Thank you.
Guys, to let you guys know, tonight it is Jade Struck in the building. So Jade, before we get started, I want you, for the new callers and the new audience viewers that don't know you, I want you first to tell them who you are, where you're from, and then we're going to continue from there.
Okay, my name is Jade Struck. I'm from Simi Valley, California. And that's where I was born in Camarillo, was raised since I was in first grade in Simi, which is about an hour from LA. and that's where I grew up.
So for you, like obviously, I mean, you are well known obviously as a shooter, but before we even get into that, I want to start at the very beginning for you on your journey to where you are now. So where did your passion first, in the sense, before you got into the shooting game, did you have a first love and then this sort of fell into your lap later?
Like first love in regards to shooting or first love
Just
generally?
in general, your first passion.
I think my first passion was riding horses, but
Okay.
and hanging out on the ranch, which ultimately meant just, riding horses and going to the rodeo and then chasing cattle, horseback, and then shooting. I learned how to shoot on the ranch too,
Okay.
and then that kind of, I think, segued its way into my life. And I was always passionate about shooting, but I didn't understand why.
Okay.
And then, but yeah, so it all started with horses.
So with horses for you, how I mean, what was your plan? Like after high school, did you have a plan for yourself of like what you
No,
wanted to do? And
no, I dropped out of high school. I
okay.
dropped out at 17. Or no, I must have, I dropped out right after I turned 18 and
Okay.
immediately started working. And then, and I didn't have a plan. And my dad, he's retired law enforcement. And he was
Okay.
like, he's like, Jade, you're going to end up in jail if you keep this up. And I'm like, I'm not going to end up in jail. I'm a law-abiding citizen. And by the grace of God, I got blessed to start doing something that I didn't know was going to turn into what it is today.
Okay.
But I got a job at I guess you could say, at like an accessories and firearm customization shop.
Okay.
And I was doing parts assembly. So I would take this part and I would put this thing in there and then screw it in with some Loctite on a screw and then do it as like part of, I mean, I was doing hundreds of them, but it's not for me because I have
Hmm.
ADHD and so when I was a kid, I always thought maybe I would be like a firefighter or something because I wanted to work with my hands. I didn't want to be stuck at a desk. And then I was 18. I dropped out of high school. I was working a desk. I was over it, you
What
know?
made you make that decision? I mean, to drop out. I mean, I know for me, I did due to personal reasons, and I came back and finished later. But what made
Okay.
you make that decision? Like, what was the reason behind it?
As far as the education side of it and the book side of it, I was really far behind in credits, and I was like, "You're not going to keep me here for another year. Like, I'm already chomping at the bit to get out of here, and it's not going to happen." And
Hmm.
so there was that, but then there was also I had my own kind of internal issues that I was having with at that time leadership, but I didn't have it before they had changed out the principal at the school,
Okay.
and she was just a total bitch. And so I was like, and my old principal was like my best friend. We were homies.
Hmm.
And I got expelled from the normal high school, and they sent me to this like I called it like the island of misfit toys, but it was like this is your last chance school.
Yeah. Hmm.
And there was only like 300 kids, and there was like ladies that were going to become mothers soon in high school,
Hmm.
and then people that had fallen behind in grades or had bad home lives or whatever it was, and everybody was kind of piled in here. And I got expelled, and I was like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Like, for one, I'm a twin. I was getting separated from my twin, which was like
Oh, okay.
that was a shock to my system. But ultimately, it was going to have to happen at some point.
Hmm.
But like I was not prepared for it, and so I was freaked out. And then I went to this school, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me because, each class only had 6 people in it to 7 at the time when I first started going there, which was my sophomore year.
Hmm.
And you called all your teachers by their first name, and it was really a beautiful experience. And that's where I learned how to develop that relationship with leadership and adults and myself and work ethic and all that. And my principal was one of my closest friends, and he was
Okay.
always disciplining me, but like in a way that I could understand, and I had a lot of respect for him. And the reason why I got expelled was because I was getting in fights all the time.
Same here. Same
Yeah.
here. And I think, I mean, did you find obviously like, in school, because I mean, I remember for me growing up, and I'm still this way. Like I it's not about, some people look at it as being a misfit, but I believe in challenging questions.
Hmm.
Like to me, where we have this platform of schooling where you get a book, you read the book, and they tell you that's what happened in the book. And my thing was always like, well, if this happened in 18 whatever, how do you know this happened?
Right.
Like, you weren't there and I wasn't there. So how do we know that these things are actual facts? And when you fast forward now to 2021 and the history of just cultures and things like that, that we're now due with the fact that we deal in a sort of a race society now of split divides and stuff, that you're finding about things that even for me that I questioned, that were like, no, that's the way it is, are now being told of like, this really wasn't how it went down in the book. And then you have the, you know, the dilemma, I guess you would say, of like being, as they call, different. You never really fitting in, never really knowing what your place was. But then the thing was, it was like, for me, I hung with, like, I didn't hang with the preppies. Even though I played sports, I was like the people with the black nail polish, and, you know, because I always felt I could relate to them in a different way. And that sometimes puts you in a position where if you were challenged by somebody that was like a preppy or whatever, you'd get in those confrontations. Was that the case for you that would cause you to get into those fights?
Yeah. And I mean, I remember my first fight I was in, I want to say 7th or 8th grade. I might have been in 7th grade.
Okay.
And this person was a prep, like they were like popular. I think that's more so for me what the issue was. Because I didn't understand why they were popular. They weren't like these good people.
Someone call us the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely.
And this girl told me, she's like, you know, hey, we're fighting after school. And I was like, I'm down. Like, I've been fighting since I was a kid. Like, I got sisters and we were like little boys. So I've been doing this for a while.
Okay.
And so that was where it all started. And then from there, I mean, I just kept getting in like random fights and people that would really try to, like, I don't like being bullied. And so when somebody would like try to pick on me, mainly because I was different, I had an issue with that. And so, and you know, I always had my twin sisters, so I was never really alone. Like, my first fight, somebody came up and kicked me in the stomach, and my sister laid her ass out, and that was the coolest thing I ever saw. But and so yeah, and that's kind of what happened with when it went to high school, the issue for me. And I guess it did kind of transition from my issue with like popular kids that were being just shitheads to the preppy kids, because they all turned into cheerleaders and all that crap. And I wasn't. I was more of, I guess you would call, like, I hung out with emo kids, but I kind of hung out with whoever, you know. And I didn't like that those people thought that they were something. They picked on a lot of people, and so I got in fights because I was defending people that were getting picked on. And I had a friend that grew up on my street, and he was, I don't know the correct word for this, but he had autism. And so, and I grew up with him, like, from the time I was probably in 2nd grade. And when we were in high school, I saw him and he had this scar on his arm. And I was like, what the fuck is that from? And somebody took a key and ran it down his arm and gave him this big old scar. And I was like, who the fuck did that to you? And so then he told me, and I went up to her and I said, listen, if you pick on my friend again, we're going to have a big issue. And then after that, I got called up to the office, and they're like, listen, we can't have you here anymore. Like, you can't just be starting these fights with people. And I believe that, you know, and the thing is that I never hit anybody first. My dad had a rule, you know, and I just finished the fights. I remember I'd always come home to my dad and be like, hey, Pop, like, I kind of got to tell you something and you're not going to like it. And he's like, oh, Jade, what did you do? And I would tell him. But I would also tell him that I was fighting for something, in my opinion, that was righteous. And so I never really got in too much trouble in that regard until I dropped out of high school. And he's like, you're going to end up in prison. So, you know, you never know. But
did you find for yourself, like, you were also, because you said you had a twin, sort of in a, maybe feeling a battle with yourself of trying to find your own identity to sort of separate yourself from a twin?
I would say yes, but no. I think that later I could uncover that was something that I really found that out once I started doing what I'm doing. that we didn't have to keep doing the same thing all the time.
Okay.
And it was always a competition. The thing is that I'm always, and always have been, super smart, tested really high,
Okay.
kick ass, but you could never get me to sit down. And so that constant comparison, now in hindsight, I see that was an issue. But I think more what the issue too is that I had a bunch of aggression pent up about my home life, because my parents had been divorced since I was like 3 months old.
Wow.
And there
Okay.
was so much strife since I can remember. And that really was an issue for me, because I was just trying to take out my anger
Mm-hmm.
on, the world
Mm-hmm.
in whatever capacity that, a young person could do at that point. But then you learn to get over it, because it's like, your parents are just like me and you, just older, and everyone's kind of got their own things. So I learned that.
Did you find though that like from going through that as a young child that it shaped who you are on your independence now as a person, like being always able, I mean, even back then having to fight on your own. And I think when any kid's thrust into that situation at
Hmm.
such an early age, it maybe prepares you for later on in life where you're like, look, if I can survive going through that shit, I can throw whatever you want at me. I can handle whatever. Did you find that you got strength from that, or did you find growth?
I think yes and no. I think that it was a bit of a hindrance in a way.
Okay.
But at the same time, no, I think it did in a way make me more unique to myself. But I was always allowed to be whoever I was and
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be when I was a kid. Like, my mom was always really big on me expressing myself. And so she's like, Jade, whatever it is that's going to make you feel like the most empowered, then you do that. So, I mean, I would just rock out to Paramore in my bedroom and
Okay.
Avril Lavigne and just go crazy. And I would listen to Jet, and I would like raid her stash of music, and I would just go in there and just rock out. I'm like, Mom, I'm gonna be a famous singer one day. And she's like, yes, you are, baby. But so I think yes and no. But I think that having my twin really gave me confidence that I'm never gonna be alone. And, we talk about soulmates all the time. I believe Rudy's my soulmate, but I know that my sister is my soulmate above everybody else, because no matter where I've been, however low or high, she's always right there with me.
Mm-hmm.
And, and even since I was a kid, like, shit in the household where I'd be losing my damn mind, my sister would be right there with me. And she also wouldn't put up with my shit either. She would be like, no, you're being an asshole. Like, Jordan would pin my ass down, and she wouldn't let me get away with anything, but at the same time, she always was there
Well,
beside
I
me.
think we all need that person at time to check us. Like a lot of
Hmm.
people are afraid of being checked, and to me, I'm like, you need that one person in your life that like when you start doing, because like people nowadays who call themselves friends,
Hmm.
you get a lot of yes friends. Like
Hmm.
they tell you what you want to
Want
hear
to hear?
when you're
Hmm.
going through drama, when you're going through a situation, like, and then you got those real friends. They'll be like, "Yo, Jade, you're fucking up.
You're
Like
fucking
you're
up.
doing some bullshit. This is you. You got to own this shit. You got to change this shit. You got to fix this shit."
Yeah.
And to you, like obviously, as you said, you dropped out. You said at high school, and then you had to sort of figure out what to do next. From that
Mhm.
point, what did you do next? What was your next plan after that?
When I dropped out of high school,
Yeah.
I didn't have one, you
Okay.
know? And, and that was okay for me. Like, I really, when I got out of high school, I had this really, I was just so naive. Like, I was not aware of the world.
Hmm.
I was lucky enough to have really great work ethic, so that carried me to places. But no, I never had a plan, and I didn't plan on going back to school. Still haven't gotten my GED, but I want to. And that's on my list of things to do. And I still don't have a plan. You know, I've been thinking about going into law enforcement, and then I've also been thinking about not. I've been thinking about what challenges me. And I was talking to my friend last night, and we were talking about shooting. And I
Hmm.
was like, I said, the thing about shooting is like I've done what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
I said I would rather just shoot for fun, have fun. And, competition was pushed me, and it gave me an opportunity to kind of figure out where I sit with everything. But I'm not big on even having to prove anything in that field anyway. So we were talking, that kind of led into what pushes me now is acting. You know, I just did my first film last year, leading it. And that to me reminded me a lot of competition, the things that I missed about competition, which is it's unfamiliar territory.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in shooting, once you hear that beeper go off in competition, like that's it, like you
Mm-hmm.
go. And, you know, hell or high water, I'm going to finish this stage. I'm never going to give up. I'm never given up on a stage or been like, yep, I'm done with that. Like I won't do it.
No,
And,
I mean, one thing I've noticed about you, you've always been, even when you've like done some shots that I'm just like, my mouth drops, and you do that Jade face, I'm like, no, and I'm
yeah,
like, you just killed it. But it's
thank
like
you.
you feel like you're never
It's not
satisfied.
enough.
It's not enough. It's like you're it's like you, but you know what? It's the best thing for you to have, especially if you're planning on getting into this business that I'm in full time and really pursuing that,
Mm-hmm.
because it's an industry where you're going to hear no 1,000 times. And if you don't have
Right.
that sort of mental toughness, which to me, you were
Mm.
born to have. So like, before we even get into that, I want to know, like, so how did you get into the whole training of shooting and then also becoming such a pro marksman?
Thank you. Um, so I'll start with the later question and then we'll go into, so it's like, how did I get in, or how did I become the shooter that I am?
Okay.
So I learned grip and stance one day by a female shooter, and she taught me just how to hold a pistol. And the thing about pistols is I always hated them. Like I never wanted to shoot a pistol. My dad let me shoot his old Beretta. I was like, I hate this thing. I never want to shoot it. And when she taught me how to hold this pistol, I was like, okay, wait, there's a way to actually do this properly. And if I
Mm-hmm.
can figure this out, then I can do this well. Because I also didn't like that I gave up on the pistol when I
Mm-hmm.
was like 16. And um, so that was a challenge for me. Like rifles, I grew up on rifles. They were super easy for me. I hate the shotgun, but I love the shotgun because it bucks a little bit. So it's kind of like a
Okay.
horse, you know?
Okay.
But the pistol, because you're working now with more finite details, which is like your thumbs and your pressure points and your fingertips and you know these little micro movements. It gave me a lot to focus on. So I focus still on my pistol heavily, and I've never really been satisfied with it. But wanting to get better at that is what made me get to where I'm at now. And so ultimately, what it became was me dry firing all the time, which is ultimately just running through manipulations and movements with the pistol with no ammo, because it's the only thing I could do with not having any ammo
Mm-hmm.
and really not having any firearms of my own. And so, I worked at that customization shop, which had a shooting range on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would go down once a day was done and just dry fire for hours. And then um, eventually I got asked if I want to go be kind of like a ranch hand on the range. So I painted targets and I swept brass and I loaded magazines, which gave me good thumb strength.
Okay.
And I was watching people learn to shoot, but I felt like everybody that was teaching these people how to shoot weren't really teaching like beginners the way to do it. They were just saying, I'm a expert, this is how I do it, but not really saying how. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
this is how I do it. And nobody was really getting any good. To be honest with you, it was just like, okay, yeah, you look cool, take a video for Instagram, get out. And I wanted to make shooters out of these people. I was like, I'm going to make you a fucking shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you choose to do something with it or not, whether you choose to pursue competition or whatever, I'm going to make sure that when you come here and you pick up that firearm, the second you put your finger on it, everything is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is intentional. And teaching them how to learn within themselves, internal dialogue. So it was always more than just about shooting. Shooting became the tool that we would use to really deepen our connection with ourselves.
Okay.
And so that's how I started teaching is, one day there was a group of people in the range and everybody was kind of getting their turns. And I picked somebody that was struggling and I said, hey, come back here with me. I'm going to teach you the way that I learned how to do it. And then the response and the feedback from us working together was so apparent because you can see it out far, that it kind of became naturally this thing where whoever was on the firing line was on the firing line, and I was behind with everyone else teaching them dry fire drills, what I would do in my time. And then that turned into eventually me teaching my own classes and me being the lead instructor. And that kind of turned into what it did. I always took it really seriously, you know.
So for you, like, did you ever think about opening your own school, like per se of like a shooting school and running it yourself?
You know, I love teaching. I really do. But the thing is that I don't want to teach for money. Like, I'm not, to me, it's one of those things that's always made me uncomfortable because this is a passion of mine. So when money got brought up, I was like, I'm really not into this. So, you know, I still want to teach. I have no desire to open up my own range at all. Like, I just don't. And if I do plan on teaching the end of this year and then up into next year. But I'm just going to be traveling around to different ranges and teaching out of there and having them host me. So that way, you know, nobody has to travel to me. I don't want people traveling to me. Like, I don't want to host. I just am not, you know, it's not for me anymore to be hunkered down doing it full time. I mean, I taught full time for like 4 years. I'm burnt the fuck out because when I mean full time, I mean like 350 days a year I was teaching. And 8 to 10 hours, sometimes 12 to 15. And, you know, after a while, I don't lose my passion for the people that I work with. But when I think about, it's not fun for me anymore, you know, to just drag my ass out to the range all the time. So.
Well, I know, I mean, obviously, as I said, I mean, you've gone through many challenges over the last couple of years, and your strength to me has been such a testament just to who you are as a person. From day one, you know, I said the first time, you know, I ever came across you, and I was like, there's something really special about this person. And it's not just the fact, okay, she's a badass, you know, female John Wick that can just do some crazy things with a gun. But there's a certain, and to me, it doesn't surprise me that people gravitated towards you to learn from you because, you know, I think when you have a special gift of a presence like you have and a genuine soul that, you know, the fact that you even say, you know, I don't want to do it for money. When you know, and I know, I mean, the gun business is a lucrative business, you know, but the fact that, you know, your pay it forward, you know, mentality is why, you know, the very first time and today I'm looking at it right now on my screen and I'm making it an official. So you're here, I'm here, the world's here, as I said to you before. I know that now that you say that, you know, your passion is for, you know, maybe taking the acting route and really pursuing that. And as I said to you before, there's a contract that I'm looking at right now, literally with Jade Struck's name on it. You want this contract, management, agency representation, the whole 9 yards, it's yours. You just got to say yes, and the rest is history, because there's nobody I can say for myself that I have seen on every level who not only was born to be a star, but is a star in her own right. Just the fact that, as I said, everything that you have gone through in the last couple of years, good with the bad, with the ugly, but your desire to push through, to push forward, to reinvent yourself in a different city, because obviously people know, you know, when you're in Cali, the bug is, it's hard sometimes to break, especially if you got shit going on. And then because if you don't have shit going on, you're like, okay, get me out of here. But when you got shit going on, you're like, to leave and everything that you've built up for yourself, and to take that chance on yourself is something that it reminds me of me as a kid. It reminds me of me when I was your age, where I'm like, there is nothing that this woman cannot do when she sets her mind to it. And with that, that is the type of people in our family, in our core of our company, is only people that I want around me. Only people that because they understand what it's like to want something, to struggle for something, to fight for something, and not have it handed to them. And I know with you, if you take this acting thing by the balls, girl,
I plan to.
there's no
Thank
stopping
you.
you. And as I said, what I will literally, when I say, put every resource, if you say yes, behind you to make sure that you reach whatever pinnacle you want to reach in this business.
Thank
And
you,
that is my
man.
word.
Thank you. Well, and I've already said yes. The thing is I wanted to make sure that I focus because, well, I've got ADHD. So I needed benchmarks. I was like, we're going to get through this and then we'll go into the contract and the business side of it. But I wanted to make sure that we got this together and that I was fully present for this. Also because, I don't want to be too distracted because I'll go mentally.
No,
I'll just go.
I know you're, listen, man, I'm so grateful for you joining us today. Guys, don't forget, you guys are on another edition of Hot Topic Celeb TV After Dark with the legendary, iconic Jade Struck in the building. Don't forget tonight, guys, if you want to ask Jade a question, you have to make sure you're following at DTEFLON and at Hot Topics Celeb TV. So for you, obviously, as I said, you did the training and you did, the competitions. What would you say, for you has been your biggest obstacle in this business in general, just in your journey along the way that you faced?
I think it's myself because I have a serious ego issue with not valuing my worth, and it's something that I work on every day. But I think that constant self-doubt is what's keeping me from doing what I want to do and what I need to do. I keep thinking that there needs to be a general direction and that, I've got to do. There's just so many voices all the time. I've got my own and my own shit. I've got different facets of myself that knows I'm good at these things and then also knows that I want to be good at these things. And that's this side of it. But behind me is other voices of, well, you've got to do this and you've got to do that. And then there's, the business. And I think that that's been the hardest thing is not being able so much to tune out my own self-doubt and tune out really what other people think I am as opposed to who I really am. Because I struggle with believing not people's praises, but thinking that I have to fit into a box that I'm being put in not by myself. And I think that that's been the biggest struggle for me.
Well, I mean, that is something that with clients, even now that I manage, in the beginning, they all have that same, and for me, it used to drive me crazy. But luckily for me, I'm a patient guy because, everyone has to find their way. And as I always tell, anybody that I've started off with, I'm like, look, we can go whatever pace you want to go. Because at the end of the day, it's like, if your head is not in the game, everything else falls apart. So
Right.
you got to figure out first what it is that you actually want. And when it comes to the business, whether you're acting, modeling, a gun shooter, whatever, the question I tell people, number one, maybe you ask yourself this question, is do you want to be a working talent doing what you love, or do you want to be famous?
Right.
Because a lot of people don't know how to separate the two. Like they see the big things, the money, the fame, the success that comes along with notoriety. But they don't understand is that, that stuff's the easy part. Like getting there is the easy part. You just got to do the work. But being able to, what my mentor used to say, is block out the background noise
Right.
And the way I look at it is that, you know, you take Keanu Reeves in The Matrix.
Mhm.
That moment when he stops and everything around him has frozen, and he's got to figure out, take the blue pill, take the red pill, you know,
Mhm.
to decide which is the proper decision. And the industry is the same way of whatever you're going to do in life. It's like we all, I think, you know, the biggest battle, and I think for anyone like yourself that's in the public eye and people don't understand, like the pressure,
Yeah.
the pressure that comes along with, like, because again, as you said, you hear the praises, you see the comments, everyone, me included, like, yo, Jade's the shit. Because I tell
Thank
to
you.
everybody, like, this girl is the shit because she is.
Thank
But
you.
obviously, other people don't really understand that, like, this is what you do.
Hmm.
So it's not even like where, like, when you do something really, really good,
Hmm.
you train for that, you push yourself, but you want more. And then there's that power struggle
Yeah.
of trying to figure out, okay, like as you said, like, you know, when is enough? When do I reach the point in my life where I am happy,
Fulfilled, right?
fulfilled?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
it's almost like, you know, like what I call the quicksand effect, because it's like every move's a power struggle. Like you move left and you feel pulled down. You move right, you feel pulled down. And then it gets
Hmm.
to the point where you're like gasping for air and you're like, and I think
Yeah.
maybe for you, was that the feeling that you had that made you make the decision to leave California to come to North Carolina?
Yeah, I left California for a number of reasons. For one, it was like the politics, and I was so freaking over it. And I'm like, listen, I'm just trying to like live my life in peace. I also was just coming out of a
Mm-hmm.
really toxic work environment, and so I didn't I I felt like everything that was in California just wasn't for me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The environment was too familiar. It made me feel like I can't escape or really be free from, this place that I grew up to this place that I started working. It's just, and then, so that's really what led me to want to get out is I told Rudy is I'm like, baby, I can't stand it here. I'm like, I'm losing my fucking mind. Also,
Mm-hmm.
it's so expensive. I'm like, I don't, this little, like, we called it our love shack. It was like this 1 bedroom guest house. And I loved it. It's a beautiful place.
Mm-hmm.
But we were quickly outgrowing it. I mean, we got a puppy and I was just like ready to go. And so I said, I don't think I can stay here any longer. I need to get out of California. He's like, well, where do you want to go? And the closest place was Idaho. And I was like, let's go to Idaho because that's the only place on this coast that I want to go. We went to Idaho. It was beautiful. It was quiet. It was what we needed to decompress and figure out our shit. Because if we didn't get out of LA as a couple, I don't think we would have made it
Mm-hmm.
because there was so much of my past, of his past, of
And
past
that
relationships or whatever.
and that toxic negative energy that's
Yeah.
around, man. And
And all of this for this business, this freaking and I was in the entertainment business. I
mm-hmm.
was on the back end, but I've gotten like, opportunities to be in
Yep.
front of the camera. And I'm like, for what? I got offered a part in John Wick, but they wanted me carrying a tray of champagne in a bikini. I'm like, listen, motherfuckers, I know my worth, and I'm gonna tell you
Mm-hmm.
one thing is I'm not gonna be in this franchise that I had infused part of myself into just to be some broad in a bikini carrying a platter of champagne. Like, you can fuck off. So
Mm-hmm.
I had no ties to the industry at all either, almost like a resentment because I was like, it's all sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yep.
And I'm not, I'm a woman of God. And I was getting out of the wilderness and I was really getting ready to go into it, but I was getting out of freaking Egypt. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm done. I'm leaving it behind. Also because I'm like, if anybody really wants to hire me, like they can fly me out. I don't give a
Mm-hmm.
shit. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I could take it or leave it. That's why in this industry, like when you hear no a lot, I'm like, okay, great. Because I also have faith in the Lord. And I'm like, listen, if this is not meant for me, I'm not going. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why when I was filming my movie and I was leading in it, literally 3 minutes before we were in the car, 3 minutes. I was waiting for Rudy to get in the car so we could leave. And I got out, dropped down on my knees, and I said, Lord, if this is not what you will for me, I will not go. And
Mm-hmm.
I can go out there and I'll be waiting And I could be, halfway through this movie, and if this is not what you will for me, I'm not going to do it. Because if this isn't it and this is not what you want, I'm not going to go. Because I've been following his lead this entire time. It's what got me out of my old job. It's what got me to Idaho in the first place. And so I'm like, I don't need to do anything that you don't will for me. I went, I saw, I did well, I kicked ass, it was hard as hell, and I loved it. But, even then I'm like, if I'm wanted and if I'm needed, then I will go. And if not, then I don't care. Like, it's not, I don't hold value to the business. And to be honest with you, I've worked with plenty of famous people. You brought up Keanu. Like, do you think Keanu is happy being in the position that he can't even go anywhere without people? I mean, and I was always forced to take pictures with him, and I was cringing because of how he must feel. And I didn't even give a shit for the pictures, I never posted any picture with any celebrity on my own free will unless somebody was telling me I had to do it. And I'm like, listen, like, just seeing how he is in it. And I myself had dated somebody before, Rudy, that was really heavily in the entertainment industry. And I'm like, this is not in any way something that I value. If anything, it's a burden because you can't even live your life, and so
the business is not for everybody, man, and that's what people don't get. It's like,
the work is, but depending
but,
on who you are too, because the work is not for everybody either.
True. But the thing is that with I guess you would say success and fame, because the business of Hollywood, it can give you everything, but just like that, it can take it away as quick as it came to you. And the thing of what's so treacherous about our business is that 1 minute you're loved, next minute you're hated, and then everybody's got to have this sort of like redemption opinion, and then you have to have this sort of redemption story where you like fall off of grace and got to fight your way back, to the top. And it's like, and this is where people don't get, like, you don't understand the mental pressure that takes to be on all the time,
and tippy-toeing
and not really being
yourself.
It's not about being fake, because you're always going to be who you are. But now, because of social media and the cancel culture that we live in, you've got to be subjective of everything that you say and do. And as you said,
and even if you don't say or do anything, people are still going to say something about it anyways. It's like, I cut my hair and people are like, oh, she's a lesbian freaking Democrat now. And I'm like, what? But, so it's like, you don't even have to do anything. People are going to say what they want to say about you. So that's why it's important to have some kind of internal system in which you judge yourself by. And hopefully it's a system that has grace somewhere in it.
I know that you said, when you were offered that part and it was, over sexualization where it made you turn it down. And obviously, as I said, being in the gun industry, and this is a topic that that I've heard come up a few times, where the business, because again, it's considered, and this is not my words, this is what is out there in the sense, number one. So I don't want to offend any gun people out there.
You're not
but
gonna.
It's considered obviously more of a male-dominated sport, and women who have been coming into the business more, I think, to be honest with you, I mean, your face to me is what really put it on the map for a lot of people, just in general, of really looking at and saying like, whoa, like a woman can be beautiful but also be badass and be strong. But there's the other flip side where I've heard where that the business for women has almost become less about the actual art and training for women, and it's become more sexualized, where these certain gun companies and stuff like that are, quote unquote, using the term gun bunnies, that want to use that niche to sell their product and sell their brand. Do you feel that one, that is the case? And if so, do you feel that hurts the industry for other women who may look and be inspired by you? Because again, exactly what you said. Every time I saw you, whether you were training my brother Shamar Moore or training in the sense, Keanu or any other celebrity that rolled through your, your time in training, you were always on. Like, you were always the person that, to me, took the training and the mistakes seriously, because it's like, it's almost like you were hard on yourself, because you're like, okay, these people, these celebrities who are basically going to be putting on camera you without you. Like, that's what they're doing. They're putting you. So you're like, okay, I got to make sure that these people are not only paying their hard-earned money to come train here, but I want to be able to know when I look at this thing on screen that I'm confident, I'm proud of going, you know what? That, because someone said tonight, on the comments there, that you are the John Wick sensei. Like, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't get the performances that, you got in that movie. And to me, when I see you, as I said, as a person that takes the training very seriously, does it affect your views to say that when you've got this sort of now women that, again, may be doing it because they want to have sort of the popularity and success and fame that you've had without really actually going through the same type of dedication and training? Because obviously, as you said, anyone can take a gun and shoot a gun. But as you said, when you started, it was about the proper handling and making sure that you were doing it right. And you said, you have to keep working at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, for one, I want to say that I think that there's a place for everybody in the industry. If you look back in the 70s, 80s, 90s even, the marketing for the gun industry was very much so okay with women being sexualized and using them to market firearms.
Okay.
And then somewhere along the line that got switched, and I don't know why. Because I don't really see a problem with it. I don't see a problem with females that are models that come in and get paid to work to be a model. And I also see value in anybody that wants to learn how to shoot or be confident, and to go into the confidence aspect of it with the training. And, when I'm instructing a student because they're going to be on film, it's not so much about, I know that because I pour my heart and soul into everybody that I meet and everybody that, especially that I work with. Also, there's a power structure when you're teaching that I am your leader. So I also get to be hard on people when they need it. But it's always with love. But it's like, no, we don't even have time to think, and it's just go, go, go. Because I'm working with their internal dialogue. I'm working with what I'm seeing. I'm working with my numbers. I'm working with my mind of how to get them where I need them to go and see that here. And, so I'm all kind of all over the place. But really my main concern with working with actors and them going off onto shoots is that they're confident. Let's talk about Halle Berry. When I was working with Halle, and I was her main firearms instructor for John Wick 3, and she had an all-female team, super badass. And she had broken like I forget the number, 3 or 6 ribs. She had broken some ribs. And at the time I had gotten her on the range. So I got pulled off the range, and we were both in the gym, and she could barely lift her arms up. So her training got really hindered because she had to be resting because she had broken her ribs. And my biggest concern wasn't that she was going to make more so, not saying that this is what you said, but more so in my mind that she looked good because it was me and her, but more so that she felt confident enough that even if she fumbled it and even if she did it wrong, and I don't really give a shit what she did, because it's a film, I don't care. Anybody that is really passionate about it, they're like, they did this wrong. It's like, who gives a shit? It's a film. The firearms aren't even recoiling. Like, what do you want from these people? Like, they're doing a job, But I wanted to make sure that she was confident, that she moved confidently, that she was aggressive. And that is always my main concern, especially with working with actors for film, is I want to make sure that when they go, because I can't be there with them. Like I got invited to go to Morocco for the filming of John Wick 3. I chose not to go, mainly because I was like, listen, I'm not going on a 24-hour flight. Like, I'm just not interested, And so I had faith that everybody knew what they were doing. And there's people on set that can teach each other. Like, I trained with everybody that was on the production, like stunts, firearms and the director and the actors, and everybody had some form of training. I even worked with some people that I didn't necessarily have to work with in terms of my role of working with the actors. Because if I'm there, if I'm training, and somebody wants to train with me, like, let's all train together. Because there's nothing like training with people around. There's nothing like training with a partner, And so,
which is surprising to me that you wouldn't want to. That's why I'm saying when it comes to the training, like, it's surprising to me that one to go on that opportunity to travel to do that, but like to do it even more on a regular basis, like rather than being at a range, but like traveling and teaching on sets and film sets and stuff like that.
I still do. And I mainly do it for people that are in like my immediate circle. So if like Rudy's working on a set and they've got actors that need training, I always offer whatever I can give. But and that's the fun part for me. Like, the film was always fun because you could get theatrical, and then you have a director saying, I want them to do this and this and this and this. And you're like, that's not realistic, but fuck it, we're going to try, because they don't give a shit if it's realistic or not. They're doing it. So I'm like, well, if my babies, which is how I think of all of my students, is they're my little babies that I'm sending off to college, aka film set, to go do this, I need to make sure that they at least know, like, in the unlikely event they have to shoot under your arm and turn around, like, that they know what the hell to do, know? And so it was always a lot of like, listen, like, I was always preventative too, is if you get to a set and they hand you a rifle and you don't even know what this is, I'm going to show you what to look for. You're looking for a trigger. You're looking for a safety. You're looking for a bolt release. You're looking for a bolt catch. You're looking for, your mag. Like, I taught them everything that they should look for. I taught them how to hold it. Tell them how to lean into it, sell the look, call it a day, as long as they're confident, is the number one thing for me, is because, like, I'm not going to be there. And to be honest with you, I don't really enjoy traveling all the time.
Okay.
I think it's just kind of one of those, like, things where I'll do it. And if I have to do it, I'll pray about it and then I'll go. But if I could choose to not, I'm not gonna. So that's why with the Morocco thing, I'm like, I'm not going. Like, I'm just not interested, even though, it would have been cool. I've already been to the set of John Wick. Like, I went to John Wick, I want to say 2, the set of John Wick 2 in New York. And, I was out there seeing a friend, so it made sense that I would go and see them, run a motorcycle into some building, but like, but it was so anyways. But back to the original question about women in the industry. I think there's room and space for everybody. And I know for a fact that there are women who only want to model and they love guns as a passion of theirs, but they don't want to compete. And I think that is beautiful because, know your limits, right? Like Clint Eastwood said, is know your limitations, okay? And if it's what brings you joy, do it. Because that's what I struggle with, is like, I feel like I am a competition shooter. And this is this thing that I have to stay in between, which it's not. If I want to go train with somebody else, or if I want to do this, or if I want to do that, like, I can do that. That is okay. So there's that. And then I think with, competition shooting there is this old guard versus new guard, where it's like, and I don't want to say it comes down to a vanity thing, but I think that it does. I think it comes down to, women that aren't
as attractive
are resentful of women who are attractive, that are getting deals because they look good in print and they look good on marketing and they have the following to back it up, and they're also good at shooting. And I was kind of that new guard that was like, listen, yes, I'm all of these things, but I also want to kick ass. Like, I'm very much so invested in whose ass I'm kicking, right? And like, I'm trying to kick all your asses. So it's not like it's not like it's tailored to whatever's going to best suit me. I want to make sure that I'm kicking ass regardless.
So
that's
how do you deal with the politics when, for example, say you're working for a company, or you're working and obviously your training and your skill sets, and then you see a gun bunny who's training opposite with you, training somebody.
Yeah, and it's happened.
But doing it wrong, and they're doing it wrong.
I teach them. I can't help it.
But this is the thing, but what happens if, for example, in that situation, either A, they don't want to listen to you because they're somebody's pet, where they've got that sort of get out of jail free to do whatever they want card. And then, how do you make the decision for yourself to say, okay, like, do you sit quiet and be like, you know what, this is not my place to say anything, or do you speak up, and how do you do it without being, I guess,
Mean?
yeah, disrespectful?
Um, to be honest with you, I've not really experienced any, especially when it comes to females. I think I've experienced it more with men,
Okay.
not wanting to hear anything.
Well, that's the other thing I was
Um,
going to get to.
yeah, and and the thing is like, men have this like weird thing that they're dealing with, and like I don't care, like so I'm like, if you don't want to know how to shoot, it's fine because either way, I'm gonna do my thing, and you're still gonna be pissed about it.
Hmm.
Or we could drop the ego and we can learn how to shoot together, and that's gonna be something that's fun for both of us. But with the females, like I've never experienced really ever anyone in my industry not being receptive to either anything that I have to add to it. Generally, I'm
Hmm.
always getting asked to add to it, or I'm offering.
Hmm.
And but if there was a situation like that, which there has been, as far as like me teaching and this person not respecting me because I was young and I was a female and whatever, even though I was much more qualified than anybody else on the range,
Hmm.
I'm just not that confrontational. And I also had a student, so it was two people who were working on a film. One of them was an actress that, is really well known. The other one is beautiful and gorgeous, super physically dominant. And she, if we want to, like, we could just say it what it is. So it was Charlize Theron and
I
Kiki
was about to say,
Palmer.
I knew it was going to be over here.
Yeah. For Old Guard.
Yeah. Okay.
And Charlize didn't respect me and she didn't want to learn. And at the same time, I really didn't give a shit because it was less work for me. And I was already fucking tired, like I'm like, that's fine. But she really didn't care for anybody really at that place. And so, but I had Kiki, and Kiki was my student because also the main instructor on the course didn't want anything to do with anyone other than the main star, which I was like,
Hmm.
perfect, because Kiki is physically dominant. She's smart. She's capable. She likes what we're doing. She's dedicated to her character. She wants to know the backstory. And, even though there's some things that she didn't want to go, like she also, thank goodness for her because I don't know how to do this, but she'd be like, I need 5 minutes. I'm tired. And I'm like, okay, take it, because
Hmm.
that's also my baby. So I want to make sure that if she needs a break, she can have a break. Then that's fine. But if she wants to push, she can push. And I'll push her as hard as she wants to go, kind of like what
Hmm.
you do. And so ultimately at the end of the day, Kiki was the better shooter and she was the better student. She was kicking ass and she was freaking kicking ass. And of course there were some things that she had to overcome with, the stimulation of shooting firearms and so
Hmm.
much informational time. She was a kick-ass student and she was really receptive and she knew herself, which was great. And, ultimately I delivered her into whatever it was that she was doing to where I felt confident in her. And I believe that she felt confident because really with my students, I have a tendency to hit a pinnacle with them
Hmm.
where like, they are kicking ass and I don't know how much better that they can get. And then we probably sit there and we try to keep pushing, but sometimes it's just like that's the best as they're going to ever get. And like,
Hmm.
that's good enough for me. And then we just sent them on their way. And that's how Kiki was. Kiki was out the door with a freaking bow ready to go. And I was proud of that. And I didn't really, after I kind of got like just away by Charlize, I was like, no problem. I'll just keep loading mags as I still do to this day. And like mind my own business because I don't want to be confrontational. I'm
But
not
how do you deal? How
confrontational.
do you deal with the egos? Like, one side from the men. Like, for example, I'm sure you've been in a situation where, like, you know more than the dude,
Yeah,
and guys,
have an issue.
they have an issue.
Hmm.
How do you deal with that for one, and how you deal with the celebrity ego, where you've been hired to do a job, but they don't want to let you do your job?
Hmm.
How do you bridge that gap to be like, okay, do you go to the producer and say like, look, this is like, or do you take them on and the celebrity and say, look, like I got to do a job, you got to do a job. Like, how do you deal with both of those sides of confrontation?
I've really rarely ever had that. Like, there's only few and far in between experiences where I met somebody that is well known that had an issue with learning. Like,
Okay.
really, I mean, the only real person I can think of is Charlize, and I still worked with her, because
But you
after
think
a
it's
while
because
she's
you're
like,
a
"What are you
woman?
doing?"
You think it's because you're a woman, or do you think it's because she just didn't want to learn?
I think there was a number of things. I think for one, how I was dressed, which I still dress the same way. So I don't know, but I was dressed in a sports bra, probably because I just came from the gym and I was so fucking tired. I mean, I would spend 3 hours in the gym. Why? I don't know. I was just in love. It was really the only thing that I had to escape the crap that was going on behind closed doors or behind the scenes. But I think there was that, and then there was also the fact that I was significantly younger than her. I think at the time I was probably 20.
Okay.
And spunky. So, like, how can you assume? And the thing is like, I don't like to show off for people. I was kind of pushed to do that. So if I was pushed to do that, I would, but I would also never really show off because I would still be in the mindset like that wasn't good enough and still disappointed, so it didn't really make a difference.
Trust me, you needed a whole video reel of Jade's faces when she was pissed. Because
Yeah.
no, 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 no,
Oh, yeah, it's
no.
all bad. It's all bad. It's all garbage. And I still believe it. But and then with the men and the men's egos, I mean, really, to be honest with you, it's just kind of like I've always really been keen to let my shooting speak for itself or let my work speak for itself. So like whether I was shooting or not, even if I was just on the range as an instructor, like I ran that fucking range. All the mags were loaded. They were right where they needed to be for the next load up. Brass was swept, targets were painted, nothing was out of order, super clean freak, always on the move, never sitting down, barely stopped to eat. And then when it came to shooting and competition and when it came to men in that space, I mean, really, I would just beat them. And like, if they had an issue with it, that's fine. I remember I was competing for an inaugural cup. And it was for this new division that it was brand new. Like, I think that was the first year that cup even existed. And it was for the PCC, which is the 9mm rifle.
Okay.
So it was a pistol competition because I was shooting a pistol caliber rifle. And I was shooting up against this old fat guy, and I think he was probably in his like late 40s, and we were like tied head and head for this cup.
Okay.
And like it was always this weird kind of dynamic with him because like he was always friendly and kind of creepy, but then always a shit talker behind closed doors. So he reminded me more of women than the women that I've ever dealt with. And so I was like,
Hold
okay.
that thought.
Okay.
Guys, just if you're joining us tonight, don't forget you're joining us on Hot Topic Celeb TV After Dark. I'm your host, D-TEFLON on the MIC. Tonight, joining us, the beautiful, talented Jade Struck in the building. Please let us know in the comments where you guys are joining us from. Also, don't forget if you're looking to call in tonight towards the end of the show and be able to ask Jade a question directly, please make sure you are following at DTEFLON and at Hot Topic Celeb TV in order to get invited into the call-in. Continue, Jade.
And so we were going head and head for like, this, to win this cup, you have to win X. If you're competing against somebody else, there's like, I think 11 matches in the season. And so we were tied head and head, and this was like the last match of the season for this cup. And we were also shooting on the same team, which was not helpful, right? Because we're seeing each other compete and you kind of get into your head or whatever. And it came down to like the last stage. And I just pretty much shot the best that I could. Like I wasn't pushing it it's kind of a risk versus reward. I wasn't pushing it super hard, but I was pushing where I could. And I laid it all on the line, and then I was like, hey, like that's it. Like I wiped my hands clean, I'm done. And I ended up beating him. And he was really pissed about it. And I ended up shaking his hand and I said, listen, man, you were a great person to compete against because it really came down to this last stage, even though he had gotten to shoot a few times extra because of whatever bullshit he was trying to win. But I was like, listen, it was fun competing against you because it was not easy, and I appreciate that. And he kind of gassed me off. I don't even think he shook my hand. But the main thing, the way that I deal with that is just by beating them and then like walking away. I don't think that I have a confidence in the scorecard. So if I win a competition or I lose a competition, I'm really okay with either one.
Okay.
I've really never expected to win. So when I win, it's always like a surprise, right? I'm like, yeah, like how did that happen? Because I'm also like not the most prepared person in the world. Like I kind of just like to show up and see how it goes. And even though I'm training all the time, I've never really trained for a competition. Like, it's just kind of like, okay, we're going here, let's go. And you know, that's where I've really dealt with like the egos of like girls that didn't like that I beat them all, mainly because I was really fresh and hot on the scene. Like, I'd only been shooting for a few months and I was winning championships, and a lot of people didn't like that. And I'm like, listen, I competed in a division that's legal. I competed with firearms that are legal. Like, we all showed up here with our shit and we all shot to the best of our abilities, and I won. So I don't really know what to tell you.
Do you ever feel though? Like, I mean, this is the thing I talk about all the time, is that like we live in a society where, you know, you get hated on for being good at what you do. Like, why should I apologize for being good at what I do? Like, we both have the same equal opportunities.
We live in America.
Yeah, to learn to do the same thing. And some people pick things up quicker than others. Some people don't. Some people put more in the work to actually get better. Some people don't. And it's like there's just always this negative thing of like where the better you get at something, the more they just want to find something to fucking
pick on you about.
How do you deal with that?
I just kind of keep my head down. You know, I mean, and I don't know, and people be looking for answers and they'll find them. You know, I'm not a perfect person. Like, I've had my share of mistakes and things that I've done. But, you know, ultimately I just kind of keep retorting back to like, what is the lens that I'm seeing myself through? And I can't really look through my lens or anyone else's because they don't know my story. So they have no context, and I know my entire story and every mistake that I've ever made. So I have all of the context, which isn't necessarily, you know, great either. I think extremity in any form can be a bit dangerous. So I got to look at it through God's eyes. And I'm like, well, how does God see me? Well, I know that he's for me. I know that he's working through me and around me. And I know that he loves me and I'm his child. So if I'm seeing myself through God, who knows me in my totality, knows all the context of my life, but still loves me and believes in me, then that's okay, and that's good enough for me, and I'll just sit this one out. So a lot of it, but it takes reflection, you know, and it takes that stepping back to see that perspective, and that's really, and it's still hard, but that's how I deal with it.
Well, I mean, obviously, I mean, for you, like, you know, being in the, and it even goes back to the beginning, like that moment when you first realize, hey, I'm fucking badass. 2, that you have this gift. And then 3, being thrust into the public eye. And all of a sudden just having your social media and shit blow up and everything else. What was it, the feeling for you in that moment when you started to get recognized by people? Like, how did you take that? Like, how did you absorb that struggle now? Like, one minute you're not known and next minute everybody fucking knows Jade.
Thank you. It was kind of a slow burn because of the people that I was around. They were well known, so I was well known by proxy.
Okay.
But it's still, you know, I still to this day see myself as like my dad's little girl that is riding horseback and throwing mud at a wall, or sitting in the backyard that is like they're making a pool. They were making a pool, so it's kind of like dirt with like a big hole in it in the backyard, and I would sit in this cardboard box in the rain, and I would just sit in this box in the pool. Like, and so that's how I see myself. And so when people recognize me, or, you know, they say, Jade, you're so good at all of this, I've never believed that I'm a good shooter. I still don't. And I kind of cling to that because I don't want to buy what anybody else is selling. And that keeps me safe in a way. So, and you know, it was kind of weird because once I got out of that scene and I was living in LA, and I was in this grocery store and this guy was looking at me weird, and then he was like following me around the store. And I'm not confrontational with people if I know the situation, but if I don't know the situation, I'm fucking confrontational because I'm like, what do you want?
What?
And do we have a problem here? Because if we have a problem here, I'm just letting you know I'm not going down without a fight. Yeah. And this guy was following me around. And so finally, I think what happened was he was right behind me. I was like in my cart, and I whipped it around really quick to where we were standing face to face. And I said, like, why are you following me? Like, what is it? And he was like, I just know who you are through Instagram, and I just wanted to say hi. And I was like, my man, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I'm so sorry, my man, but I thought you were stalking me. So like I got really defensive about my personal safety. But now that I know that you know who I am, how you doing? We took a picture. It was cool. But
How do you deal with that though? Like, how do you deal with I mean, this one, because obviously social media is such a crazy nightmare of a tool, strange beast.
Yeah.
How do you define the normal from the crazy? And how do you, with now obviously the pressures that social media can cause of anxiety, depression, you know, be overwhelming at times. What's your feeling on social media for you?
Well, real quick, to how do I deal with those things now is with like where people are over the edge of being kind of weird. I'm always around men that are protecting me. And that's something that when I left California and I left my old job environment, I didn't have anybody around me. And so when I started building back up my team of people, everybody around me now is people that protect me and look out for me. So if I'm somewhere and I know that I'm doing an event and like people are going to be there, whoever it is that I'm there with is always looking out for me. And so I'm never afraid of, even though I'm still on guard, I'm still aware of my positioning and things. I'm only with people that have my, best interests at heart and that are going to protect me and that aren't going to let anything happen to me. So there's that, and that's how I deal with that. But as far as social media goes, I mean, it's one of those things where it's hard for me to really, it's always changing for me, my feelings on it.
Okay.
Because I've really come to despise it because I'm tired of having to, play up this idea of who I am based on what other people, think that I am. And it's not, if it really came down, like if you watch my story, which you do, you know that who I am is my dog and my man and my cats and my bullshit. And like, that's it, but on the feed page, it's very cultivated and it's very cold. Like I make it a point to make sure that I am not super personable on my main page and my social media, just because I have to have that standoff distance, because that's the only thing that really makes me feel safe doing what I'm doing. Because I'm not very comfortable with like airing out my shit. And, Rudy's the first man that, I'm going to marry him, which is why I'm like, well, maybe we should tell people that we're together, because like we're together and we're moving in together and but he's the first man that I've ever publicly been with. Of course, I was in a long relationship before Rudy. It was about 3.5, 4 years, but nobody knew about it. He was in the public eye. I was in my own little niche. They kind of intermixed, so I didn't want that on the forefront. It wasn't. And also it was something where he was in the public eye, but not in social media. He's in the public eye of like the world. Okay. So there's that standoff distance because he didn't have social media. So it was kind of this like, there was this really separation of houses. And now I'm in a relationship with Rudy, and I've, been very public about it, been very grateful for the amount of overwhelming love that our relationship has gotten. There's nobody else I'd want to be public with than Rudy. But there's also the struggle of that too, because he's in the public eye and he is on social media, and there's having to deal with that.
So how do you, and that's the thing, as a person, I love this topic, is that like being in the public eye, you being a sex symbol, him being a stud, how do you balance that? Like in the sense of making a successful relationship work in the industry. You both are in the public eye in sort of similar fields, and being able to, what's the word, have your own identity where it doesn't, because obviously, the comments people will say, well, she's only with him because he's older and blah, 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 and all the bullshit people fucking will say.
Yeah. But, and by the way, my ex was older than Rudy. Like,
but this is the thing. Exactly. So it's like,
his preference.
Do you feel, one, because like when it comes to, if the roles are reversed and it's an older woman, nobody bats an eye. But when it's a woman, everybody has something to say. What's one, your take on that? Do you feel that there should be there shouldn't be a double standard, and why? And your reason why do you think there's a double standard? And two, how do you balance being able to have a relationship and make it work where I'm sure He probably has a harem of women chasing after him, per se. You have your harem of men trying to get your attention on social media. How do you balance that and make it work?
I'm just taking notes, by the way. I've been taking notes because of my ADHD.
Okay.
So, with the I have to really disconnect myself from all of it. So, he's gotten a lot of hate in regards to our relationship. I have not. Maybe it makes it easier. I've had my own fair share of hate, but we both had to deal with that in our relationship. I myself really looking through the lens of God, especially in those situations. I just don't pay attention to it, and I just
Okay.
turn that off. I'm really quick to block. I'm really quick to erase. I don't give a shit because I'm like, listen, you guys want to talk shit? You go to Reddit. Go to Reddit. Talk crap. Do your thing. Like it's fine. That's a place to do it, but not on my page. Like I'm not going to stand for people disrespecting me, my relationship, or our characters based off of what they think that they know, which they really know nothing. And people are lucky, I would say, when you have people in the public eye that are willing to share their story. Because Rudy has been completely transparent about his story, the good, the bad, the ugly, and had this pillar of strength way of dealing with that and being that way. And so, Rudy is authentic when it comes to his media. I'm more reserved. I'm open. My podcast gives me a space for me to really be open. But for a long time, I was not. For a long time, I was really distant from it and completely disconnected from it. As far as the double standard goes, it's one of those things where I'm like, I have only so many eggs and I can't put any in a basket that has nothing to do with me because it's just going to exhaust me. And I've noticed this with men. Men are a lot more willing to put their eggs in that basket and like go and defend what they believe in and fight and all this stuff, especially when it comes to random people that we have no idea who they are. And I am not. So like I just block, delete, and get rid of. Like I don't care. And I exercise that right as far as my platform goes. Now if people are talking smack about me elsewhere, I'm like, okay, well if I don't see it, like I don't care. And I make sure that I'm not seeing it. So I just don't care. And I think that bothers people that are trying to get a rise out of me. But at the same time, I'm like, I just don't care because I've got a beautiful life outside of this screen. I'm like, my life is awesome. Like, and even though it has its things, like I'd rather be spending my time here dealing with whatever problems that we have here than dealing with whatever is going on. Can you?
Oh, no, I lost the audio there. Yeah, now I can.
Sorry about that. I'm right here.
Yep.
But as far as how to make the relationship work, yeah, he's got, the thing about it is like women are weird and I am one, and like, so I get it. But, we've had more issues on his side of the fence in regards to our relationship.
How so? How so?
Just women crossing boundaries and doing shit that they shouldn't be doing,
Okay.
And that's one of the things that like, I can't put my energy into it. So, but how do we make it work? It's kind of a back and forth thing because for me, it's, publicly, how are people, people publicly with me are coming at me with, I'm going to take these off because my phone needs to get charged once again. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So, I think the issues in our relationship when it comes to me in social media is me still feeling like I can express myself because yeah, I am a woman, and I do have sexuality and I do want to express it, if I could, I would have a full page that is just like, beautiful artistic nude pictures of me. Like I would do that because that would make me feel like I'm expressing myself. But he has an issue with that, and that's okay, and I'm not doing that, but there's that. And so that's kind of where we butt heads on my side of the fence is, publicly, how am I able to express myself and who I am as a woman and also my sexuality and all those things without disrespecting our relationship? But this
is the thing when it's your, because understand this is what you were doing. This was your part of your work. This was part of who you are and your identity in creating the whole Jade Struck brand and building that where, you know, you're more than just a pretty face. You are more than just a body because you have all these other amazing attributes about yourself. And now the world is, whether it be with your podcast or even tonight, they're getting to see a different layer of you because there was always this mystique behind Jade Struck. Like there's the name, but as you said, not many people really got to know you because you had to be this person all the time in the public eye. And, you know, now we're obviously, as I said, the things that you've gone through and growth. Do you, I mean, to me, should you have to change? Because it's at the end of the day, it's like, you know what, like the way that I look at it in relationships, it's like, if you know who the person is before you get involved with them and you decide to get involved with them, as you said before, with him came the good, the bad, the ugly. With you comes the good, the bad, the ugly. So if you're accepting the good, the bad, the ugly, shouldn't it be a two-way street? Like, shouldn't you have to stay true to who you are? Because I know you will never be anybody but you.
Yeah.
So it never, to me, should be a situation of any level. Because to me, it's like, I always find people in relationships nowadays when they wonder why things don't work. There's two reasons. Most people in society now, they want social media relationships. They don't want real ones. And the biggest issue is about communication and understanding of like, look, trust. And it's like, you are, yes, legitimately one of the most beautiful women on the planet. People know this. People say this. And you could be with anybody, whoever you want to be. You could just open the door and pick.
Thank you.
You know? But it's like, you are so humble and so real. And I think with that, when you said he's so authentic, but you've always been authentic. You've never shown anything other than who you are. And at times, as you said, you know, you may have been, and I've heard you use the word in interviews before of naive, but I don't think that's the proper word for you. I think the word in a sense is just life experiences. Because it's like, you know what, as you said, when you grew up in an environment of not having your parents together and then not having that sort of proper structure throughout high school, and then you're sort of thrust into this adulthood. Because understand, teenage life, high school life, it moves so quickly. And before you know it, it's like, okay, life. Like, here you go. Go deal with life. And you're trying to figure out, and when you're trying to figure out who you are, and then you're put into a position where, as you said, you've been around older people and older relationships. Same like me. I was always around people that were 20 years older than me. That's how I learned the game. But the thing about that is, what I always say, and which is why I find the biggest problem today in relationships, people want a relationship. They don't want an empireship. Because a relationship is where this is me, this is you. Okay, who's going to compromise first? Who's going to, you know, not do, like as you said, I don't want you doing that because I don't want to deal with whatever backlash or whatever drama or negativity or things that people may say or put me in a negative light. And then you've got the other person going, well, I don't want to do something that's going to disrespect the other person. But this is where I go to the flip side. Isn't respect, self-respect, should be more important to you as a person? Because to me, I look at it, if you're having to change who you are for somebody else, aren't you disrespecting yourself?
Yeah, totally.
And to me, it's like, that's where I look at, if you're going to be in a relationship, anybody that's in a relationship, and I want your opinion on this, because again, I don't believe in relationships. I believe in empireships. And when I say that, meaning is that I'm sure you've watched gladiator movies. You know, the movies, all the strong gladiator movies, and there's
Spartans.
the Spartans, and there's the king and the prince and the old king who's about to die, who's deciding, okay, who he's going to give the kingdom to.
Yeah.
And there's always that prince Caesar, who's always like, I must be king. I'm going to be king, and I'm going to take my lady. And then there's the old guard, as you said, the old king. He's like, no, I got to give it to the warrior. Because the warrior, he's the guy that's going to, he's earned the respect by the people because he's willing to get his hands dirty and go up. Well, you've got the prince, who's the playboy. He wants the girls around him, the jewels, the things that, number one, that, and
The
what
wine.
that, exactly, the wine. And what that shows to the older king is like, he can't hold down responsibility. But when you have what I call an empireship, you've got a queen like you, who is strong, independent, can hold shit down on her own, because you've been holding shit down from the time you were a kid to now. And then you've got a king who says, okay, I'm gonna go out and battle. I'm gonna go out there in the field and I'm gonna do my work.
Fuck some shit up. Yeah.
Fuck some shit up.
Yeah.
But he has to understand, as a king, I'm only as strong when I have a queen who's holding down the kingdom. Because when I come back from battle, we rule the empire together. And that, to me, is where, if you're going to be in a empireship and not a relationship, what people have as relationships, they want the prince. Because they're like, oh, let me find somebody to take care of me.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, but to me, an empireship, a real relationship, should be about you learning something from someone every day, them learning something from you, and you bringing each other together to make each other stronger, not changing. What is your opinion when it comes to that?
I agree with you. I do. And I think for me, my struggle is like, you know, I don't want to be domineering. Like, I don't want to be, what is this word?
Alpha female?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I'm much more submissive in my relationships. And I like that role. Like, I'm comfortable there. And I thrive there, I would say. But
okay, you said you thrive there. How do you feel you thrive there?
Because I don't have to make the hard calls. You know, the thing is like, when I'm not in a relationship, I'm a hard ass. And to be honest with you, I kind of turn into like a man, because I'm running my own shit. I'm paying my own bills. I'm working 9 to 5. And anybody who, or not 9 to 5, but like, I mean, I was working like you would not believe. And still, like, when Rudy's out of town, like he is now, I'm working all day, all night. And I have to shut off that part of me that cares. And so when I was, you know,
cares
single,
about what? Cares about what? You said shut off that part that cares.
That cares about anything other than my mission of what I'm working on, you know, which means that I lose a bit of my sensitivity, and I have to kind of guard myself off so I can stay moving forward. And like I said, that kind of turns me into a man in the sense where I'm like, I don't want to be bothered. I don't have time for your feelings. I don't care. And so that's.
But do you look at that as a bad thing, though?
Well, for me, I see it as not being necessarily true to self, because I'm not that way, really. I mean, in real life, I'm the most caring. I'm the most sensitive. I'm the most nurturing, you know, and mindful and thoughtful and just expression and all of these things. But when I'm focusing and when it's me on my own, I'm not even giving myself any of that. You know, I'm just going, which is why I get ran ragged when I'm not in a position to be that sense of self where I can step back and let my man go and be the man and do his thing. And
but don't you feel that? But don't you feel, because you said, you know, with feeling like the man, to me, as you said, it's like a mission. It's an objective.
It is.
And I don't think you should look at that as a bad thing. because to me, it's like being mental tough. And this is the thing that I find with women now is that they lose themselves. They lose themselves because they're afraid to be of their own. And it's not, to me, if you have to weaken yourself as a woman to prove yourself to a man, there's something wrong there. There's a disconnect. Because to me, women think that men, and this is a mistake that a lot of women make, they think that we want this submissive woman. Listen, we want an affectionate woman. We want a caring woman. We want a loving woman. We want a nurturing. We want those things. But weak and not having sense of principle and sense of strength, you'll find in those situations, a lot of times more than none, if a woman starts to be, as you say, too much less of sometimes being a man, because remember we talked about at the beginning of this conversation about being able to have somebody check you. Men need that. And they need that with the woman that holds the shit down for them. Like, because again, he's gone away, you said, and he could come back and he could be in a zone where he's like, okay, you know what? Like, I had a shitty trip or whatever, and he needs that escape, and for you to be that escape for him. But then you may go away and do some shit. And then if you come back, and let's just say, for example, he's the man all the time, he's hard and holding shit down, and doesn't have the side, as you say, of that nurturing side, that side to be able to be attentive and pay attention to, because you have to understand something about us men. I'm a guy, I can tell you this, Jade, the truth. Hear it. We're stupid.
Yeah.
We're very stupid. And the reason why we're stupid is that, understand, women have a tendency to not say things that matter when they're on their mind, but they'll say things when they want to bitch about something, like something that makes them angry. But the things that are in their core of expressing themselves, so like, I don't want to be that girl. So they don't say nothing. And men, we have this mentality of like, if she didn't say nothing, nothing's wrong. And then you never have that conversation.
I don't know if I agree with that for me, though, personally. Only because I do have a tendency. Well, I don't get to like slip anything by. Like if something's bothering me, like I don't get to just be like, no, I'm fine. Like, because I can't not let something bother me.
Okay.
I can't not talk about it. And also, Rudy's so sensitive to understanding, like if something's wrong with me, that I'm not allowed to not talk about it. So it's going to get talked about one way or another. And I'm going to try to
I like him already.
Yeah, and I'm going to try to talk about it in the most like sensitive way as I can. Okay. But the thing is that I only really think about the intro to what I'm like, this is what I'm feeling, right?
Okay.
And this is like the part that is sensitive. But everything outside of that is not. So like, and I have a tendency, I think, because also of the way that my brain works, is that sometimes I have a tendency to really lack emotion when it comes to understanding things.
Okay. So
like, you can say, you know, the sky is blue, and I will say why, and you'll say just, you know, because it is blue, and I'll go off on some tangent because I'm like, well, I want to know, but why is the sky blue? Mm-hmm. You know, and then everybody, you know, sometimes we'll get into their feelings. I'm like, I don't really care about feelings because I'm here saying that, listen, my feelings would not be upset if everything was kosher, but it's not. Mm-hmm. So what the fuck is up? You know what I mean? And I have a tendency to be a little bit of lacking care and sensitivity when it comes to something that bothers me, mainly because
I don't think it's lack of sensitivity. I think it's passion. I don't think it's lack of sensitivity at all. I think it's that people who don't. What's your sign?
Aquarius.
Okay, so you're like my ex. I've only dated Aquarius, unfortunately, and we have the same. I'm Gemini, but we have the sort of the same, similar mentality. Except the difference with Aquarius is you're stubborn as fuck. Like you need to know, and you won't let it go, and you'll keep pushing at where you want to just strangle you and be like, yo, can you just like chill? But I think that's, as I said, if you don't know or listen or pay attention. People, as you said, they look at that as, you know, being rude or insensitive, and it's like, no, it's just, I'm very passionate about what I believe in and what I want to know. And there's nothing wrong with that, because we've come to this point, when you look at even society now, of what's going on in the world, whether you're for vaccines or any of this shit.
Right.
It's like people are crucified for asking questions.
Right.
Like, to me, yes, there's times to not ask questions, but there's times to ask questions. And when you have a relationship and you're building with anything, I think this is the thing that people, I find, you know, now in life, is that people shy away, whether it be in relationships or friendships, because growing up, my era, and even back 15 years ago, really before social media took off the ground, if I had a problem with Jade, I'd go meet Jade. I'd go sit down with Jade and be like, yo, Jade, we have a fucking issue.
Yeah.
We need to talk about this. And we talked. Now, I got an issue with Jade. What did you say? Block, delete. There's no fucking conversation. Like there's no communication. And this is where I find people now, where it's like social media, as they say, is the tool that was supposed to bring us together. I find it's brought us way more apart, because no one actually communicates with each other when there's a problem, when there's a situation. We just go on emotion, reaction. And it's good that, for example, that like your man is like, because I'm the same way. It's like, yo, I have a simple rule with that. I'm like your man, where I'm like, you're going to tell me what the fuck's up, but I'm only going to ask you, like, if I come on, like, what's wrong? Nothing. Because women have a tendency to do that shit all the time. What's wrong? Nothing.
That's me.
And it's like, my whole thing is like, listen, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you again. I'm going to ask you again. If you don't answer me, I'm not going to keep badgering you.
Right.
But understand, I don't want to hear about that shit ever again. But what women do, you guys are like, you play fucking Monopoly. You got that you got that fucking do not pass go card in your pocket. And you wait and you sit on it. And we could be, as you said, well, Rudy, what color is the sky today? Blue. Well, was there some bitch in the sky named, like, you guys will bring up some shit that would just be like, and you'd be like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
Why didn't you bring that up 6 months ago? Well, you know, this and that. And this is where I tell people, is like, if you leave things for lack of communication, it makes bigger problems and issues. So for you, as you said, like, not being at times a person who may, and maybe even in your own past, the things that you've gone through. If you could talk to a young Jade Struck right now, and let's take the last 10 years of your life, what would you say to that girl?
Listen to your intuition. Trust it. That's what I would say.
And what would you say for you in that time, in the sense of who you were before to now, if you could give advice or turn back the hands of time and do something different, decision making, what would it be?
I don't know. I think it would kind of go back to that intuition thing. It's like, trust your intuition.
Okay.
Because, you know, I didn't for a lot of different things. And that's kind of when you look back and you go, well, I saw that, but I didn't say anything. Which is also kind of why I've gotten not just like emotionally hurt, but physically hurt, is because I didn't trust my intuition. And also, I didn't have an understanding of long suffering and out suffering. right?
Explain what you mean by that.
Like this idea that like, okay, I've got to get out of here now. Like I've got to do this now. Like I've got to, this impulsivity that I have a tendency to be, which I love, but and understanding that like, hey, it's not that bad, right? And understanding of the world, right? If I had a bit more perspective, I think that idea of long suffering would have been more prevalent, right? Like it's really not that bad. You're not being abused at home. You don't need to work a job that's going to abuse you worse than your mom bothering you, than you being so set in your ways about having to leave that you're doing all these other things that are going to put you in worse situations. But that's hindsight. And I thought about like, if I could change things, what would I change? But to be honest with you, like I wouldn't go back and I wouldn't change anyone or anything, because it's all led me to where I'm at now. And some things have been hard, but if I didn't go through them, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. I wouldn't have my relationship with the Lord, which came to me when I was hurt on the range. I heard the Holy Spirit say to me, tell him to slow down. And because it was my boss, and I knew that if I said anything that would disrespect or, just your superiors, I guess, this kind of controlling person, that I would lose my job, which meant that I wouldn't be able to pay my bills and I wouldn't be able to do all of this. Well, because I didn't listen to the Holy Spirit, I ended up getting hit in the leg with a ricochet that bounced off the ground because this person was drawing so fast that they weren't being safe. They dropped the pistol on the ground. It went off and hit me in the leg. And I wasn't the only person that got hit. And because of that, I went out to the side of the building and I prayed. And I said, thank you, Lord, for sparing my life. It felt like he was grabbing me and saying, wake the fuck up. Wake. Like you're in the wrong place right now. You need to get the fuck out. And then I started going to Bible study like every single week. But sometimes I was there like 5 nights a week because this was the only real family that I had that really cared about not just me, but what is truly good, right? In the Word and God. And then from there, I kind of had this perspective to look and say, all of this is fucked up. This is all the devil. And I need to get out of here as quickly as possible.
How did you feel, though, like, obviously, in that situation? Because, you feel, and I know what it's like in situations where, because I think you're like me, where the people that, I don't got a massive circle, but the people that I do have, I care very deeply for. And it's a very, very small circle, whether it be Shamar, it's a tight knit group. But I've had situations where I had somebody, and I've always said I don't use the word friends. If you're in my life, I bring you into my world. You're family to me. And I remember, if you remember, maybe you don't, and if you do, maybe you can go back, and if you remember, like, when that situation first popped off, and I wrote you a really long email that I had sent to you. I don't know if you ever read it or got it, but I sent it directly to your email first, and then I sent you a message. It's probably still in your inbox, and I said to you, I was like, we haven't met, but I feel like, and it's what you said before about like never having somebody around you to feel protected. And I really wanted to protect you. And I just felt this, and I told you, I read off energy. Energy of people is very important to me. And I looked at you and I was like, I see so much of her in myself. And I know what it's like to not, when you go through situations, because I've gone through a similar situation, but in a different aspect, where the people around me who I thought fuck with me, who I thought were looking out for me, the same decision that you had to make of like, do I stay quiet and just
bite the bullet? Yeah.
Because you said, you got bills to pay and worried about this, or do I say, you know what, fuck it,
Imagine.
I've had nothing before. I can do it again. Because then when life, you can always rebuild your life, but you can't rebuild back your what's the word I'm looking for? Self-worth.
Your story.
Your story.
Right? You can't rewrite it.
You can't rewrite it.
When it comes to life.
And to me, like, I know what it's like when, as I said, when you've gone through a hurt, a betrayal by someone you loved, you cared for, you trusted, and then you've got to now all of a sudden not only deal with the pain and the trauma of that loss, but then trying to understand the people that should be down for you, thought were down for you, people that you know you would put your fucking blood, the last drop, in a cup for, suddenly just fly the eagle and turn the other cheek, and now you become, as they say in Batman, the villain. You know, sometimes you be the goods for so long.
I am the villain.
You have to turn into the villain.
People are concerned.
Exactly. And it's like, I felt this sense of pain and energy even in my own, because I'm going, I just want to kill somebody for this chick. Because I was so, because I was reading this shit and I was like, and that's why when I wrote you that letter, I was like, you know what? I said whatever, and I meant it. I tell you this every day.
Thank you.
You will, as I know Rudy's in your life, but I'm telling you today, Jade, as God is my fucking witness, as long as I've got a heartbeat and a breath, I don't care where I'm at in the world. I don't care wherever you're at in the world. You will never, ever be put in any situation by anybody or any situation, whoever the fuck it is, to never feel that you don't have that protection. You can call my number day or night and know that, number one, that like you're loved, you're cared for. And to me, as I said, is that like for you, how do you deal and how did you deal with that loss, as I said, of who you were, but also the loss of saying, okay, how do I find my way back to the light from this?
Well, as far as dealing with the loss, I've kind of had this weird thing with like death, where I just keep going, right? So I grew up around horses. The thing about horses is when they get injured, you're more likely than not having to put them down.
Okay.
So I've lost a lot of loved ones in my life, meaning like animals, which are the most, you know, to me, probably the most important and prevalent things in my life that I've ever known are animals, right?
Okay.
But I also had to mourn the death of a lot of them. You know, I've probably lost more animals than I've ever had, right? Or at least any that died of natural causes. So for me with death, I mean, I think it's something that I just kind of write off in my mind. And I still, you know, even speaking about losing friends, I still have days where I wake up missing them. Like, especially some of my girlfriends that I know, and if I had listened to my intuition, I would have known that they were never for me. But I wanted them to be for me because I wanted them to be for themselves. And they weren't there for either one of us, and that's okay. But I still wake up sometimes missing them. And sometimes I have to kind of look at that from an objective point of view and say it was okay that I loved them. It's okay that I believed in their potential. It's okay that I tried my best to infuse into me, like I did with my firearm students, a sense of me, but also that they didn't want that, and that's okay, right? And I still pray for them, you know, and I think that that's kind of been something that I've really wrestled with, is like praying for people that have hurt me, you know, because I serve a vengeful God. And I myself am quite vengeful, right? But I've got to let that shit go, and I do. But sometimes I still find myself, and the thing is if you think about it rationally, it doesn't make sense. Like, these people were pieces of shit. They didn't deserve me. They never did. But that still didn't take away my love for them because I
Mm-hmm.
still love them, still to this day.
Because if you succumb to like for me, I have somebody that, as I said, that hurt me really bad. We were brothers for 20 years, and he did some really bad shit and put me in this, almost as I said, same compromising positions where when our friendship ended, like I don't know how you are, like for me, if our shit ends, you're dead to me. And I mean, when I mean dead, like we could have 30,000 photos on social media. The next day,
They're gone.
they're gone. I'm deleting.
Yeah.
I'll take 3 days if I got to delete every single one because I'm like, once you're out of you're out, and
I'm the same way.
there's no going back. There's no, you are Judas to me. You break that fucking trust once with me, you're done. People always say, why you're so hard like that? Because I've had a hard life where it's like, I give love. I believe in leading with love. And if I lead with love, like you do, then why would you fucking hurt me so badly? Why would you do the things that I wouldn't do to you?
Because it has nothing to do with you.
100%.
It has to do with them. And that's the thing. I think that's a hard part of reconciling, right? Is that I have one particular friend that I loved with all my heart. And by the way, her ex is my best friend now. But she broke both of our hearts because we both believed in her so much that we gave as much as we could, meaning like all of our love and all of our hope and all of our dreams and all of our time, right? Which is the most important commodity. But she, at the end of the day, she didn't love herself. She could not love anyone else. She didn't treat herself well, so she couldn't treat anyone else well. And that's the thing is like, people, I have a friend on Instagram, was telling me about how his ex completely screwed him over and he's afraid to date now. And I said, listen, it has nothing to do with you. People will, they say you accept the love that you think you deserve. And when I first heard that, I thought like, okay, if somebody treats you like a piece of shit, then like you must think you're a piece of shit. But I don't think that that's it. I think what it is that it's just that everybody's at where they're at, right?
But a lot of people lack self-love, though. You got to remember that. A lot of people lack self-love because you know what? As I say, to the flip side of what you said, I always say what you allow is what you accept. And if you allow someone to treat you like shit,
that's what you think you deserve.
Well, it's not even like that. I think it's even the fact of when you look at what I call like disrespect. And disrespect comes in different forms.
Yeah.
It could be wording, could be physical, and it could be mental. And it's like, if I know, for example, I can talk down to Jade, I can treat Jade like shit, but Jade sticks around, as a man, why would I stop?
Right.
Why would I change? Because you're telling me that it's okay. And this is what I was going back before, where I was like, women have a tendency to stay quiet on the issues that are important because they're like, I don't want to be that nagging bitch. I don't want to be confrontational.
Yeah.
I don't want to be this person.
I think that the issue is like, and I don't mean to cut you off,
yeah,
but like, I think the issue, thank you. I think that the issue is falling in love with someone's potential, right? I have a tendency to do that because I believe in people, and that's my issues. I used to tell myself when I was a kid, I had this idea when I was a kid. I was like, I've got all of these like fantastic ideas, right? And these ways that I live my life. And one of them was that there is something to love in everybody. But that's true. But that doesn't mean that everybody is worthy of love. And that's that constant reminder of reminding yourself is like, listen, and I knew this a lot when I was single, right? Because I'm like, holy shit, I'm a hot commodity, right? I'm like, I got fools falling in love with me left, right, center, and backwards, right? I'm like, I got a sparkling personality and I'm cheeky as hell. And I may wake up looking a mess, but even that's cute, right? I'm like, and then when you get into a relationship, you forget that, right? You forget your worth, you forget your value. Also because I think then I have a tendency to put everyone else before me, even my
Mm-hmm.
freaking dog, like I do. And I also find fulfillment in that. But that's a really slippery slope to be freaking walking on.
But do you
Because,
think this? Sorry to cut you, but do you think
no.
though what you said,
Mhm.
it leads into what I was about to say is that, like as you said, you've got left, right, center, back, people everywhere, and obviously
Yeah.
due to your social media,
Mhm.
with the likes and the follows and all those things that come into play,
Mhm.
and women now I find,
Mhm.
and I want your opinion, is that like you look at a lot of women now, whether it be in the fitness industry or the modeling industry, who come from these broken relationships, where they're with a guy that doesn't appreciate them, treats them like shit.
Mhm.
But then they go to social media and
Mhm.
they got all these guys in the comments, oh, but baby, I want to fuck you, and you're so hot, and I want to stick it in your ass, and blah, blah, blah. And all that stuff, you know, you know, and
Yeah.
that's what we call it, unscripted, baby. And it's like
I
they
love it.
start getting those things to their head where they
See, but
start
I don't
feeding
have.
into that.
Okay, continue. I want to hear what.
Yeah, they start feeding into that, and then there's this sort of like fake reality of
Mhm.
like they've got these thousands of guys
Yeah.
that are online that are looking at them like a thirst trap, like a piece of
Probably
meat,
jacking off to their
jacking
pictures
off to their
too.
photos, exactly.
Yeah. Ugh.
And then meanwhile, like where it's like they're trying to substitute for what they're lacking in
In
their own
themselves.
selves and their own
Yeah.
relationships. And my
Yeah.
thing is like, why wouldn't you just leave? Because and it goes back to what you're saying is that when you say, okay, I fall in love with their potential, I'm the same
Mhm.
way.
Mhm.
But what you sometimes maybe have had the same problem with me is where is it gets to a point where when they're not living up to their potential,
Mhm.
you become more like a fixer than someone that's like,
Of course.
and then now you're in the situation where like I'm focusing so much on trying to fix them,
Mhm.
I lose the things that are important to me
For me. Mhm.
as a person and my
Yeah.
growth. And
Mhm.
then all of a sudden now you're in a situation where they may take the healing and the inspiration and the growth that you give them
Mhm.
and bounce, like in
Yeah.
my situations.
Yeah.
But
That's
then now
real.
you're like, okay, well, I just spent fucking 4 or 5 years getting you to this point because I thought we were a team.
Team.
And
Yeah.
then you left me
High and
high and
dry.
dry. And
Mhm.
now I'm like, okay, how do I balance this
Predicament.
predicament first of trust? And it's
Mhm.
not about even trusting somebody else.
It's yourself.
It's yourself to
Yeah.
make the right decision of like, what's this person agenda? What's
Right.
their motive? And then and then add in, this is where I go back to what I was saying before about the mental pressure, is
Yeah.
that people don't understand me and you being in the public eye,
Mhm.
our life is completely different
Mhm.
than somebody who just drives a cab
Private. Yeah. Mhm.
because everything we do is under a microscope. If we don't do anything, we're under a microscope. If we don't say anything, got people saying shit for you. Then
Yeah.
you're almost in this point where you're like, I think what you said about Rudy, where he's like has to say these things because the problem is now is, as I said before,
Mhm.
people don't talk to each other.
Mhm.
They talk about each other.
Mhm.
So it's like if you don't say something and hold your ground, other people are speaking for you with
Yeah.
things that aren't even factual.
Mhm.
And now you're having this internal battle
Right.
of like, okay, am I staying quiet again when I just came out of not being quiet? Because
Right.
I spoke out, now I got to go back into this bubble again?
Right.
Did you feel that way in your situation? Like you wanted this? Because I remember you wrote a letter and you said what you needed to say, and then you never really spoke on it ever again.
I didn't even write that letter.
You did it?
Mm-mm.
So who
Mm-mm.
wrote the letter?
A lawyer.
So if you could, wow, I did not know that. So this is
Yeah.
breaking news, hot topics, Celeb TV. Anyone that watched that letter, I'm sure everybody did. So like,
Mm.
if you
I
right,
deleted the letter.
Yeah, because I remember it went away. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, if you could now speak in your own words,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say if you were the one writing that letter? For people to know about who Jade, people, as you said, have a misperception of Jade Struck. In three words,
Mm-hmm.
define who you are. And then if you were to write that letter and you were to get your point across, what message would you like to say to anybody that's out there that had a misinterpretation or anything negative or just didn't know the story?
I would say, for one, the first three things that I would say about myself is like, listen, my name's Jade Struck.
Okay.
You know, I have a history and a family lineage that follows that name. You know,
Okay.
my father gave me that name. I am my father and my mother's daughters, and 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 who I am at my truest form is never really going to be known by anyone that has not met me before.
Okay.
And and I don't even want to attempt to try to have people understand who I am at the core of me, because it's much more than what can be understood in a paragraph, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that, I think that there's a lot behind even my name, right?
Yeah, your
Um,
name is so interesting. We're gonna get to that
Thank
too.
you. Yeah. And as far as the story goes, I mean, listen, like, I was walked in that job by a family member.
Mm-hmm.
I was deceived. I allowed myself to be deceived. I allowed myself to be manipulated. I allowed myself to be abused because I also bought into fear that was being fed to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my responsibility. And I chose not to fight that because of that fear,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, I don't think it's okay for anyone to be groomed. I don't think it's okay for anybody to be brainwashed. I don't think it's
Mm-hmm.
okay for young women to be taken advantage of and dangled fucking carrots and saying, well, you don't have a GED, so what the fuck are you going to do if you leave? I don't think any of
Mm-hmm.
that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't think it's okay for anyone to allow a young person in their lives to see this kind of treatment and not say anything about it when they're clearly lost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But at the same time, when I came to understanding of the things that were going on around me,
Mm-hmm.
and when I found the Lord, it was very clear for me. So, before this whole thing happened, this whole scandal at the beginning of last year,
Mm-hmm.
I had left this work environment 7 or 8 months before all of this had happened. I had
Okay.
left. The final straw for me was being sexually harassed yet again.
Mm-hmm.
Saying not only no, but fuck no, getting suspended from work because I said no
Mm-hmm.
to what was being pushed on me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final straw was, well, if you're going to be with Rudy, then you can't work here. And I said that that's okay because I'm already on my way out and fuck everyone here.
Mm-hmm.
If I could have done it differently, I wouldn't have tried to still do good for other people. I would have been more selfish and said not only no, but fuck no and
Mm-hmm.
fuck you. And I don't give a
Mm-hmm.
fuck what anybody thinks about you. And you're lucky
Mm-hmm.
that I don't share a freaking 100th of the things that you've done.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I've been still having to work through that part of me that is afraid, right? And so
Afraid
there's
of
that.
what though?
Mm, to be honest with you, afraid of authority, right? Afraid of people that could hurt me, which would take an authoritative figure, which would take, honestly, the figure of a man. Because I was taught not to talk back, and I was taught not to have a voice when it comes to authority and saying what I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's that fear.
But whoever taught you that, to me, honestly, needs to get an education in the fact of
I
you
know, I
should
know,
never have a fear of speaking your mind
I know.
and telling your truth, whether
But I
someone
gotta
likes it.
say,
Mm-hmm.
but I gotta say, I put that on myself too because I could still choose, and I
Mm-hmm.
chose not to because of that fear. I bought into the fear. But when I found the Lord and when I came out of all of this, and I could think clearly and I could see clearly, I made decisions based off of that. I chose to quit. I chose to get the fuck out. I chose to go be with Rudy. I chose to not be around or near anybody from that. I still had to learn some lessons, but I got the fuck out. And, you know, I didn't even know that that video existed. That video is not a fucking fraction of the things that have happened. That's why with everybody's opinions flying around, I'm like, you know, you don't even know what the hell you're talking about. I would also say to people that have found in some way an avenue to attack Rudy through everything that's happened, that they're all wrong and they have no idea what they're talking about. That Rudy's a good man and he was there for me and he told me to get the fuck out and he put me up and got us a place, even though we didn't know if that's where we were going to go together. Found us a place, moved me in, gave me a place that I could be safe for a while. I quit my job with not even $100 to my name. And I was bribed. I was offered a check for $250,000 and a house that was over $1 million, a deed for it to stay. I said no. I said I don't serve mammon. I serve the Lord. I had people in my family say, I think you're making a mistake. I said, why? They said the money's good. I said I don't serve mammon. I serve the Lord. And so for people that chose to somehow take that out on Rudy and say anything bad about Rudy, they have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. And to be honest with you, I've not spoken publicly about this at all because it's taken me all of this time to even really have an understanding of things.
Well, I thank you for sharing it because honestly, I mean, to me, honestly, as I said, you know, it's the whole situation made me angry, made my blood crawl because again, I know your heart. I know your soul. I know who you are as a person. And I think anyone in any situation, doesn't matter whether you're in any business, because again, it's like you're going to have, and as I said, like only people can, there's always, just like the movie that I'm shooting right now with Dorner, there's 3 sides to a story. So when you look at Christopher Dorner in that situation, you got the cop version where he was this psychopathic, mental, crazy person that just went on killing people. Then you've got the victims. Then you've got the heroes. And then you've got the truth of the things that only people who were involved in those situations, the things that he went through that led him to that point, the same way with you. People can say what the fuck they want. Jade, they can talk their shit on the internet. But you know you. You know what you went through. And the only people that can really know that are people that are involved. That can speak on that, people are involved.
Well, and to be honest with you, you know, I was in the middle of a lawsuit. I was going to go for it. And I was struggling. I was praying about it all the time because I was like, Lord, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, right? I'm like, because what's it all for? Because the lawyers asked me to quantify it. They asked me for a dollar amount.
Okay.
And I said, I can't quantify it, and I don't give a fuck about the money, right? I'm like, I said no to so much of this currency because I can't be bought. I don't serve the fucking devil, right? And so when it all came down to quantifying it in terms of money value, I said, listen, you know, there's nothing from this that's going to give me my peace. The only person that can give me my peace is God. And also the only being fit to judge anybody is God. So I said no mas to all of it. And I said, I'm going to let God be the judge of me and of everybody else. And I'm not going to try to play God in any role in my life. And I'm just going to do what God set me out to do. And so I just kept praying about my purpose. And he gave me my purpose. And I was sitting on the couch and I was just sitting with the Spirit, with my Bible, asking the Lord to speak to me because I needed to hear his voice. And I went to the bathroom and I brought the word with me because I'm not going. God is welcome in all areas and aspects of my life, including when I'm on the toilet. And on the toilet, he gave me my purpose. And he spoke to me about things that I know that he knows, but that I didn't even remember, which was that, you know, when I was young, so he told me 2 things. He said, you know, it's true what you heard that you were not meant to be, which there's no history of twins in my entire family, like at all. It's got this freak thing, right? It's God. And so he said, it's true what you heard about it. It was not meant to be, and that I wasn't supposed to be here. And so what happened is my mom and my dad agreed to have one more baby, right? They already had my older sister. They agreed to have one more baby. My mom wanted two. My dad wanted one. I don't think my dad's an evil person. I think he's just a human being, okay? And so my mom wanted two. My dad only wanted one. My mom got pregnant, and she had twins. So God blessed her with what she wanted, which was twins. And my dad had told me in a rage, which I know is not true, and I know that he didn't mean, that my mom wanted to have an abortion, which I know wasn't true, and I know that he didn't mean that, but he said it out of hate, right? And I forgive him for that. But the Lord had brought up to me that it was true that it was what was said, that I was not meant to be, but that God put me here for a reason, which I've always believed that I was a blessing from God. And it's not an arrogant way.
No.
But it's in a way that I feel really connected to the Lord. I feel really connected to him. I always have. And that's it. And so then he went on to tell me that your purpose is not for the world, right? You will help the world through it, but it's not for the world. It's for me. You're here to serve me. Your purpose will serve me. By serving me, you will serve the world. Because I thought, okay, God gave me this platform, and he must have a plan for me that I'm going to reach people. And he said to me, you're kind of there, but you're not all there. You are here for me. You are here to serve me. I am your path and I am your way. By doing this, you will reach others through this avenue that I have created for you. So I said, okay, Lord, what's my purpose? And he said, your purpose is to prepare others for spiritual warfare, which I have quite a bit of experience in, because I had experienced spiritual warfare, but me leaving where I was at before was a part of that, because I was waging war. I was like, listen, I'm fighting for God, and all y'all are serving the devil. And I'm just letting you know that I know exactly who you are, and that you should know damn well who I am, because I'm not serving fucking anything else. And I was tempted like you would not believe. And I didn't fucking care, because I'm like, listen, and I even brought it to my Bible study teacher in my group. And they were like, Jade, I brought them my little pamphlet. I was like, this is my plan, right? I'm like, I'm leaving here. This is my plan. And this is it. And I literally had it all written out. And I showed it to them. And they're like, Jade, I have a feeling that you're going to take this leap and you're going to fall. And I said the corniest shit I've ever said in my life, and I still believe it to this day. And I said, you think that I'm going to fall, but I know I'm going to jump off this cliff and I'm going to fly. Because I am with the Lord wherever he wants to take me. And I don't even care what that means for me, And so I did it. And they still supported me. I had my Bible study teacher come and be my witness to these meetings. And I was getting money thrown at me, this, that, the other. And she's from New York. And she had her red lipstick and her red freaking matching lipstick and her red nail polish. And she's smoking a cigarette. And she goes, Jade, it's a lot of money. And I'm like, I know, but I'm not serving mammon. I'm serving the Lord. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, I'm sure. She's like, okay, let's go. And she stomped out her cigarette. And I said, let's fucking go. And then I said, not only no, but fuck no. And fuck y'all. And I'm out. And she was my witness to that. And that's okay. And so that was that, and
I think for you, I think it was more about taking your power back in that moment, I believe. Obviously, as I said, making that decision. And the thing I loved about your truth in that was that, we've seen the Me Too situations that have gone on in the world. Some, far-fetched, some real, some made up, some truth. But it's like the one thing that you barely hear compared to what I just heard with you was, even though you didn't ask to be put in a situation, you didn't expect to be put in a situation, but you had enough accountability within yourself to say, okay, I got to accept some responsibility that I put myself in this situation. And I kept putting myself in this situation where a lot of people who are in those situations want to blame everybody but themselves. And it's like,
and that's why I've not really said anything is because I'm like, listen, like I'm not blameless, you know? I allowed myself to be manipulated and I put myself in these shitty situations. I should have listened to my intuition, as I told you. And that's what's been really hard is like, how do you find understanding?
But what do you say to the people that say, you know, you only found that understanding or what's the word, accountability once you became famous and known and got the career that you got? What do you say to that? People that say that shit.
That I didn't. You know, I got that accountability from Rudy through our fights, you know, of him saying things that I know he didn't mean, but that there was truth to it, you know, and that I can see from his perspective that, you know, yeah, I fucked up. I made mistakes, you know. I'm not blameless.
No, but I'm talking about your career. I'm talking about the people that talk shit and say, you know, you only are Jade Struck. And this is where I got pissed off.
Okay.
Because I'm like, do you not realize, like, not everybody, like not everybody could go in. It doesn't matter where the fuck you train at, where the fuck you go to school at, whatever fucking range you learn the shit legitimately. You learn the shit. Could have been from anybody.
Well, I didn't learn from anybody. I learned from myself. So that's what I say to people is I say, listen, you know, because there's a lot of people in that environment that were, you know, even before all this shit went down, that were like, you know, oh, well, she gets special treatment, this, that, the other. I was the least trained person in that joint. Okay. I got trained maybe 3 times by, you know, the headmaster of whatever the fuck. Right. And so it just wasn't true. And also I made it a point too, for my own conviction, to personally train everybody that talks shit about me. Right. Because I'm like, I'm going to pour into you what I poured into myself. And also you're going to see, and I'm going to see that you still don't do with it what I did with it. And, you know, nobody made me. Like nobody nobody shot for me either. Like I was the only person out there with the pistol, right? There's evidence, right? And that's a fact. And so if people want to discredit the work that I put in, I still put in that work, you know?
You put in that work like nobody's business, man.
And everything, thank you. And everything that I do too, like my fitness, you know, people assumed when I got really lean that I was doing drugs. And I'm like, motherfuckers, do you know what I've been doing? I've been sitting with the Lord and I've been going through my entire life.
What made the whole transformation? The shaved head, the fucking change of body tone? Like what inspired that?
I shaved my head because I saw a girl on Instagram and she had a shaved head and she looked awesome. And at the time, I had they call it a mob or like a fob. They call it a fob, a fake bob. It was like mid-length, and both sides were shaved.
Yeah, I remember.
And I don't like having my hair in my face. Like I still don't even like it now. I fucking hate it. I don't like having my hair anywhere near my eyes. And so when I had my hair like that and I tried to put it up, it was always half up, half down, and like fucked up on the sides. And I'm like, I hate this, right? But I cut my hair because it was dying. And I was like, you know, my hair is dying, even if half of it's on my head. So I'm just gonna start over, right? I'm like, she has a shaved head, and I like her face. And I went into my bathroom and I pulled my hair back. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to cut my hair. So I went to my barber who cut up my sides at the time. I said, hey, I'm going to shave my head. And he's like, you know.
Are you having a Britney Spears moment?
No, he was like, I'm not going to do that. And I said, well, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I can guarantee you that you're not going to want me walking around with some fucked up hair. So I recommend that you do it for me, right? And he's like, okay, I'll do it. And so he's doing it. He's flipping out. He's like, oh my gosh, like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, not even tripping. I'm like, shave it off, man. Like, I've been planning on this for like a week, right? You're lucky I even waited to get in your chair because I've been ready to pull the trigger on this for like a week. And that was, you know, there was a lot of people telling me not to do it, especially my abuser that was telling me not to do it. And it was kind of like a big fuck you to everybody. But at the same time, like, I was already going to do it anyways because I wanted to do it. And so, like, the big fuck you in their faces was just a bonus because I was already doing it, you know?
Someone's asking, what's your skin regimen? You're glowing.
Oh, thanks, girl. I've got acne. So, So my makeup regimen is jojoba oil and rose water, and then I use like Elf pore minimizer primer,
Mm-hmm.
and then I use It Cosmetics their like CC cream, and then Bare Minerals, and then I also use Too Faced of the contour, and I use Morphe on my eyes. I go cheap all the way because I mainly don't wear makeup. But my face is always breaking out, and I pick it. That's a bad habit that I have. I pick my face. So,
I would never tell because your skin always looks flawless.
thank you. I mean, it's just the makeup and the lighting. It's
No,
really
even
the
when I've seen you
lighting.
first thing in the morning, man, your skin always looks flawless. So,
Thank you. Well, you know, thank you.
but go back to
Filters.
what you were saying
I forget what I was talking about.
in regards to, as I said, like shaving your head.
Oh yeah, so I just
Yeah.
shaved my head. And then I gained, I mean, shit. I was working out so much, but I was still like 155. Like I was heavy. Bottom heavy too. I had a fat ass, which baby, I'm trying to bring it back while still keeping it lean. You know,
Hmm.
I'm trying to balance. But also when I turned 23, like my body changed
Hmm.
completely. And I know that they say that your body changes like every 7 years. And like I was like, okay, like I'm not really buying into it. But my body, when I turned 23, it changed like you would not believe. Like I just all of a sudden got a
Because I
lot
thought
leaner.
Rudy put you on some diet. Because I was like, yo, that's when I hit you up. I was like,
No.
yo, give me Rudy's diet plan. Because I'm like, look at how fast you made this
And
transformation.
we eat whatever we want. Like I could show
I
you
don't
my
like you. I don't
cabinets.
like you, Jade. I don't like you
But
anymore. I don't fuck.
I fast during the day because of the mindset of being on the range all day teaching. I didn't like to
Okay.
eat because it would take me off of my A game when I'm on the shoot on the firing line with somebody. Also babysitting whoever's in the back, making sure that they don't touch any ammo or firearms. And running so many things that I've gotten really comfortable just going all day not eating. So I still haven't eaten yet today, and I'm okay with that, you know.
Eat.
But yeah, no, I'm good. I'm fine. But so there's that. But and then I started training, so I kind of let my body like just start over. Like
Okay.
I stopped training because of depression. Like I did not want to train. I didn't want to look at myself. I didn't want to. That's why I had a shaved head. It's like I gotta tell you, like when I had a shaved head for like a year there, I wasn't even really thinking about if I looked pretty. Like I didn't care. I didn't care what I
Hmm.
looked like. I didn't care about anything. I
And I
was
know about
just,
depression, man. And it's a thing that, people, again, as I said, they don't understand
hmm
in our business. Like, I went through it for 4 years. I was suicidal.
yeah,
I went through so much over the last 4 years. And when I got out of that, you know, that mode, I mean, he's no longer here, Christoph St. John, who saved my life, and people don't get, it's like when you're in that dark place,
nothing matters.
nothing fucking matters.
I gotta tell you, I heard somebody describe it as feeling like there's a wet blanket on top of you. And that's how I felt. I didn't even
Okay.
come up for air. I didn't even care. You know, I thought about suicide when I was at my old work
Hmm.
many a times. Um, I didn't do it, obviously. And then when I was depressed, I didn't so much. There may have been times where I was like, this would be easier, but I also wasn't going to. It's not an option for me, especially with my faith. Like, it's just not an option for me. And
What people don't
so,
get though, what comes to suicide, like from someone that's a survivor from it, people don't understand it's not something you think about. It's not even
no,
something you plan. You just have a psychological break in that moment where
yeah,
you're like, I'm done.
yeah,
Like
I'm
like me
tired.
me it was going through my phone. I was in
hmm
a storage when it happened, and I was going through a phone,
hmm
and I had like 2,000 numbers in my phone, and I'm literally looking at my phone, and I'm literally calling people, and I'm like, if somebody answers,
hmm
like this will be the moment. If
hmm
nobody answers this phone, like by the time I get to these 2,000 numbers, if
hmm
nobody picks up, then I guess I'm not really worth anything anymore to anybody. That's how I felt.
Yeah,
And when I
it's
got to
disassociative.
exactly, and when I ended up leaving a message on Christoph St. John's voicemail,
hmm
and I mean, rest in peace. He was like, he was my
God
savior
bless
and
you.
everything. And out of 2,000 numbers,
hmm
he called back, and he was the guy that I always went to when I was going through shit. And we didn't have to talk every day, but he always was
No.
like Batman. He knew when something
Was that?
was up.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like when he called me, it took my second to take a breather
Mm-hmm.
for him to calm me down, but I still was like gun in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still gonna go through. I already written the letter. I was already like set. And I remember I looked down on the ground and there was a picture that was turned over.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I don't know about you, like I'm a very curious person. I used to like, you want to know the answer to something. And me was like, I don't know what's on the other side of this photo. I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
But here I am, like ready to end it all. And I'm like, still wanting to know
What's on this?
what the fuck on this picture.
Mm-hmm.
So I got up off the chair and I picked it up and I turned it over. And as you know, I have cats, lots of them, and they're my love of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a picture of the three of us the first day I brought them home.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in that moment I said, if this ends today, I end this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Out of these 2,000 numbers, there's nobody. Like, there's nobody that I can even think of that's going to even go to my house and check on me. I'll lay in this storage room for weeks, dead. No one will know that I'm here. My girls are going to be on their own. And it was in that moment where I was like, I want to live.
Yeah. Thank God.
What for you got you out of that dark moment?
Being suicidal?
Just suicidal in general, the whole thing. Like for me, it was like a switch. Once that happened to me, the very next day, I said, no more. I am taking my fucking life back.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do something that I'm sure you have been doing over these last 2 years, is when you said a big F you to people and shaving your head and changing your body. It was almost the point where you've been doing so much for everybody your whole life, just like me. And now you're in a position where you're like, you know what? I am not going to fucking apologize for putting myself first. And I'm going to do what I want on my terms. Nobody's defining anything for me. No one's going, listen, if you've always been there for me, I will always be there for you. But if you haven't been there for me, or I have to question whether you're going to be there for me, or if I do something, and we don't do, people like us, we don't do things to expect it in return. But we come from, I think, me and you, Jade, come from a different mindset where like, we shouldn't have to ask for you to protect us. We shouldn't have to ask for you to be there for us. We shouldn't have to ask for you to have our back the way we've had your back. And you probably, like me before, you either do two things. When shit happens to you by somebody, you're either going to get fucking pissed off and mad and explode and want to fucking, as you said, go for the jugular.
Right. Or
you start to analyze and ask questions. Why? Why did this happen to me? Why did this person do this shit?
Right.
And then you're just like fucking in this circle of like, is it my fault? Is it their fault?
Who do I owe?
Who do I owe?
Yeah.
And then you learn from this situation for me was like, if you're there for me, cool. If you're not, I ain't even getting fucking mad. Because I'm going to be like, you know what? Now I know where you're at on the priority list in my life. And now I'm not going to give you that energy. And I think for you, obviously, as I said, when you turn down those offers and things like that, it's almost like where you're sitting there saying, like, as you said, I can't be bought. Your soul can't be bought. And if you did take it, it's almost like
it's blood money.
You're accepting that this is okay.
Right.
This is okay. So for you, like, how did you get out of that, from the suicidal and the depression aspect? What brought you back to being the amazing Jade who you are?
Thank you. I would say when it came to the suicidal thing, it was the Lord, right? Because during that time is when I got hurt. And that's when I realized, okay, like life is finite. It was
Hold on a second. Hold that thought. Okay. Kayatan, if you want to watch this, guys, you're just tuning in. We're with the beautiful Jade Struck. You can follow if you guys are going to be taking questions later on towards the end of this show. You got to be following at DTEFLON and also at Hot Topic Celeb TV. If you want to watch episodes, if you missed this episode in full, which will be uploaded, and the full story where you can read and watch again, you need to go to the website link in the bio, which is hottopiccelebtv.com. Don't forget, of course, you can check us out each and every Sunday night for Hollywood actors, producers, directors in conversation. We have some of the most influential faces in Hollywood and entertainment every Sunday night at 6 p.m. and every Tuesday night, it's Hot Topics After Dark. I'm your host, Dteflon Unscripted, Uncensored. And tonight, of course, we got the beautiful Jade Struck and the Jade Struck story for this evening. Continue.
Thank you. Thank you. You're the best, by the way. You're killing the game. But I would say at first it was the Lord, right? Getting hurt and getting woken up and shooken. And then the second time around, like coming out of the depression in Boise, it was my 23rd birthday.
Okay.
And Rudy and I had been going at each other's throats for months. And finally I said, I said to myself and I said to the Lord, I said, I can't do it on my own anymore. I was like, I can't. I'm like, I don't have the tools. I don't possess them. I can't handle this anymore. And so I'm going to therapy. I'm like, I'm going to get help for this because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And I've been trying to do it for over a year on my own. And I didn't anticipate what happened early last year. I didn't anticipate any of it. And so I'm just trying to figure it out, but I can't do it on my own anymore. And so I prayed about it. And I said, Lord, I need a therapist that knows you and that is truly good. And I want a woman, but I'll take whatever. And so I called. I asked my mom for a list of doctors that take my insurance, and she gave me them. And I called the first one on the list was Dr. Alex Wills at Perma Mental Health. And I called and I said, hey, I need an appointment with whoever will take me. And I need one now. And I got Tana Young, who's my therapist, and she's going to be on my podcast next week. And she is a woman of the Lord. And she is a blessing from God. And working with her, she's really helped me figure out who I am and also redefine. So it's interesting because I said this to her. I said, I feel more like myself now than I have in a long time, but in a new way. And I feel like as connected to my young self as I've been in a long time. But also I've never been here before, and I'm not tired of it.
Okay.
Right. I'm excited to learn more, and I'm excited to grow, and I'm excited to figure out what the hell I'm doing on this planet. And I'm excited, but I'm excited, and I'm here, and I'm aware, and I'm ready to go, and that's when I got re-diagnosed for ADHD. And that's when I've been working on that on my private time and with her. And really just, my circle is small, quite like yourself. It's small. The people in it are truly good. I still have to fight those demons of mine that fuck with me. And that's part of it, and it's always about every morning I wake up and I think about, I try not to let myself be stressed because I try to be mindful of what's my first thought of the day. Right. And instead of making it a thought, I've been trying to make it to a feeling. Right. And I was raised in California. There's something about being raised in a place that's sunny, 365, 24/7, pretty much. And so I imagine that I'm looking out my mom's window and seeing just the sun kiss everything, and the birds are chirping, and there's peace, and there's quiet, and there's rolling hills, and I can feel the sun. And that's been my first feeling in the morning, my first thought of the day, which is feeling like I'm at home even though I'm not, because I still struggle with not being close to my family.
Yeah, how was that adjustment been for you from being from California, moving all the way to North Carolina?
Out here? Yeah. Well, Boise was weird because Boise snowed, and Boise was not it for me in terms of environment and weather, but it was good because it was quiet.
So why'd you pick North Carolina?
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
And why is because, Rudy's nonprofit Force Blue is based out of here. The headquarters out here. And his closest friend group, Sorenex, which is an exercise equipment company, but more than that, it's an ethos of strength performance athletes. They're based out of Columbia, which is only about 2 hours away. And the proximity to Florida and the proximity to Pennsylvania, which is where my best friend lives. And really, I chose that I'm not going back to California because I'm also not one that wants to. It's not in a prideful way because I've left home and come back. Like I've done that. When I quit my job, I went back home, right?
Okay.
Which I had been fighting my entire life. Finally, I was like, I need to go home, right? And I'm not fighting that anymore. But since leaving, I left with Rudy, and we've started a life together, and I'm committed to that life, and I know that if I go back to California, it's because of fear, and I'm not going to live in fear anymore. So I don't want to go back to California, also because California never served me, My family is the most important thing in my life, and Rudy's a part of that. But I'm able to still have my family where I'm at now and have a relationship with my twin who's now pregnant. And we're having a baby. We're having a little boy.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And I'll tell her that you said that. Thank you. And he's healthy and everything is good. But, it's one of these things my dad taught me a lot when I was a kid. Like, first thing he taught me was, like, when I had a nightmare is that I need to go back to bed. Like, no, I can't crawl in bed with him because he's not always going to be there. And I called him in Idaho and I was crying and I said, Daddy, I just miss being home. Like, I miss being close to you. I miss feeling safe. And he said, baby, that's okay. Like, that's okay to miss home and miss feeling comfortable. He said, but you're not in that place anymore.
But to me, Jade, you've never played it comfortable. Everything for you has been, a fucking this.
Yeah.
And which to me is what separates you from everybody else, which is why I gravitated towards you, because I'm like, we don't take the easy route. It's not in our fucking DNA.
No.
Like, it's
I
not
make a hard way to do it.
And but understand, taking that hard way is, and this is the thing. I've gone through shit. You've gone through shit. We've all gone through shit. But everything that you have gone through, the good, the bad, the ugly, all those nights where you're like, how the fuck am I going to get through this? How am I going to get through this day? How am I going to get through this morning? Everything that you've gone through has brought you to this point. And that's where you have to say to yourself, and this is why I said, you're one of the baddest women I've ever fucking known. Because your strength, you didn't quit. You didn't give up. You got set on fucking fire a couple times. You got burned a couple times. You got fucking, and you got shot literally with a fucking ricochet, but
couple times.
But where I look at that of you, as you said, it took that ricochet for you to sort of realize, make that switch.
Wake the fuck up is what it was.
What I call that is a testament of where, like, I know you use the word God. And me, like, I don't tell anybody what to believe and how to believe and what they believe in and what they believe in. I've never used that word because I don't believe in that word, God. Because the reason why I say that is that, to me, when you use the word God, it's what to me is wrong with society, is that it makes someone feel that there's somebody more powerful than them.
I like that.
And then you've got this position of, like, where, this is what we battle with. The government, they think they're right. This friend, they think they're right. This troll, they think they're right. Everyone wants some power play. But when I look at that ricochet, if I'm defining that moment for you, it's similar when I got stabbed. I was left for dead on the side of the friggin' road. I got shot at on the job when I used to work private security and stuff like that. And one of my employees, and it was my brother, he died at my feet. He got murdered right in front of me. And in those moments, the same with you getting ricocheted, the word that I like to use, people just define what the true meaning of what I call your inner Teflon, your inner power is Jesus Christ. And when I say Jesus Christ is more powerful than that word of God, me and you, like Jesus Christ, we sacrificed. We took the whippings. We took the punishment. And remember when you said, even when you were getting hurt by these people that you loved, you still loved them. You still thought about them. You still maybe even cared in a certain way. And if you remember when Jesus Christ was on that cross, taking that whipping, and he was saying, Lord,
please forgive them, for they do not know what they do.
Exactly. And that's where I look at what me and you have gone through. We are the representation of Christ, of Jesus Christ, because we're willing to take the whippings, the beatings, the fucking pain. But other people go, I'm not going to that. Because as you know, when you look at society, whether we're talking about a vaccine or whatever, everybody wants to be on the bleachers, talking that shit, talking all that fucking nonsense. But nobody wants to get in the game. And the same way people that were talking shit about you or talking shit about me or talking shit about anybody that's been through a situation, it's very easy to talk from the bleachers unless you get in the game. It's very easy to take that sacrifice like Jesus Christ, where he's like, look, I'm going to take this. That's why when they talk about, when you go to church and they say, this is the body of Christ that is given to you. Take my blood, they drink your wine. Take the bread and put it in your mouth. This is the body of Christ that I give to you. Because he was willing to sacrifice, to give a portion of himself for someone to realize and look at you and look at your story and look at what you went through 2 years ago. All that pain, all that fucking bullshit.
Suffering.
And suffering. And here you are 2 years later when people probably thought Jade is going to wither off. She was dead. She was going to wither off into becoming a ghost, and that's the rest.
There's a lot like me that had. There's a lot before me that had.
And you didn't. You didn't. You were beaten. You were scarred, but you didn't let it break you to the point, and that's where I say to you, in this moment in your life, yes, it's great that you have a partner like Rudy. It's great that you have somebody that stood beside you throughout the bullshit. But if you take anything that I say in this moment, Jade, and only because I have been where you've been, is that to me, the only way that you go back, it ain't about even you going back to fucking Los Angeles. Fuck that.
Yeah.
The only way you set yourself backwards is that if you don't, as I said, become your own queen. Meaning the fact that you and Rudy have something great, and it's beautiful, and it's blossoming, and it's growing, and it's like a plant that you're fucking putting watering.
You're not killing it.
And as you said, as some days you went through your ups and downs and situations and tug of wars that you may have had, as you said in the beginning, and it's like a rubber band. You keep pulling until it eventually may break. But the whole thing is that what I don't want to see happen for you, because I care about you and I truly want to see, listen, man, nothing makes me happier seeing you fucking win. Like, I love everything you do since day one, since the first day. I'm like, and it's very rare that even anybody, and even for me who's lived on this earth longer than you, but I'm like, she fucking inspires me. Like, and I don't get inspired by too many people because there's just not that many people that I can learn shit from, and anyone, because people are always coming to me, D, how do you do this? And how do you do this? And how do you become an actress? And how do you become, like, all this shit? That's my fucking inbox every fucking day. It's the same shit. There's never any substance. There's everyone saying to me, hey, you know what, D, how's your day going? How's your week going? Or call me up in the middle of the week and, like, Are you having a good day? Like, are you good? Because I'm the guy making that fucking call. But when I looked at you, I'm like, everything she does, it's got this purpose. It's got, and the way that you go through life, because as I said, nobody would have been able to know any of the shit that you were going through, because every time I fucking saw you, you were fucking smiling, like from fucking ear to ear, grinning, and I'm like, nothing phases this shit. Like, she's always in a good mood. But the fact that you had to, what I call, it didn't take coronavirus for people to start wearing masks, because a lot of people mask their whole life through shit, things that they've gone through, pain, things that they've witnessed. And you were masking, and I could only imagine how much of an internal fight that was for you to be professional, go to work every day, knowing these things are in your core, and you're having to carry that weight and do it alone. And that's why I said for you is that what I strongly hope that you find with this journey that you're on now, this next chapter, which is going to be your greatest chapter, is that you build a life for yourself, not for just you and Rudy, but you build a life for you, because again, anything can happen in life. Anything. You could be together today and tomorrow, boom, things just change. That's the way life is. Nobody knows what tomorrow is. Nobody knows what's going to happen 5 minutes from now. And the mistake would be for you is to be better than who you were a year ago, better than who you were yesterday, and better than who you were even after this conversation we're having tonight. To say, you know what? Tomorrow, I'm fucking Jade Struck. I'm a badass bitch. And I'm going to fucking go out there, and any person that's ever doubted me, questioned me, question my talent, because I have never questioned your talent. I think you are the most interesting, fascinating, talented people I have seen in my many, many years on this earth. There will never be another Jade Struck. Never. There will never be a person that will be able to do what you do. And you may not think, you know, you've accomplished a lot, but understand, Jade, you've inspired millions, men, people, women, and to me, you've only hit the tip of the iceberg of what you're going to do. And that's why I want to say you have to make sure, in order for you to be great, you have to be able to have your own identity outside of what you and Rudy have, where he's got his, because remember, he's already built his foundation. He's already built his life. He's got his thing. You're still in that mix of trying to figure out who you are. And it can't be about you balancing off of just him. You got to figure out, what does Jade want? Who is Jade Struck? What is my goal? And when it's done, you're like, okay, you can look in the mirror and know 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, every person who has ever doubted you, whoever talked that shit, whoever said, you know what, Jade only got these opportunities because of such and such, or because she was pretty, or because she was a gun bunny, or whatever the fuck bullshit they want to say, to know that, you know what, you are not defined by how you shoot your gun. You're not defined by how beautiful you are. You're not defined by Rudy. You are defined by being a woman who has built this foundation on her own. But understand, in order to have a good building and good structure, you have to have the foundation. So yes, you've got a good man who's holding it down for you, has got your back. Me, when I fucking sign your ass,
Yeah, you
I
will.
will have your back in
Thank you.
every way going forward, meaning the fact that I don't ever want you to, like, my job for you, not only as, and I try to explain to people, number one, in two aspects. Me as your manager, consider me like your drug dealer, because
Okay.
that's what I am. My job is to take you being the product and put you out. But my also job first is your friend and family first, where I'm going to protect you, not just from the bullshit of the business, because that's part of the job, but to protect you from every aspect that the only thing Jade has to worry about being is fucking Jade.
Thank
Being the
you.
best version, being the best talent, being the best at whatever goal and passion you want to do in this business. And that's what I'm saying for you is that once you know that you've got that foundation under you, that's always going to hold you up. You're good, man. You're
Thank
good.
you. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
So I wanna ask you because it's been a thing that for me has been a thing that I'm jealous of about you because
Okay.
it's to me it's a dream. You were in Call of Duty,
Yeah.
which is like forget the game itself, but just being in a fucking video game and having seeing yourself in a fucking it's like being in Pac-Man or Super Mario Brothers and being a
Yeah.
character. How did that opportunity come about and what did it mean to you?
Thank you, my man. I appreciate you. And I just want to tack on there that all that suffering, and all of it, really is, if I can find a way to help anybody, that's really why I went through all of it. And it was all, if you're gonna even compare me to Christ, which I don't think I'm even able to be compared, but it's all for his glory, and I appreciate all of your kind words, truly. Call of Duty came to me. I got a call, and I had this I had this manager at the time,
Mm-hmm.
total garbacho, okay? Total garbacho. But
Okay.
and so I was supposed to go to this long gun thing, and I'm like, listen, I got this gig with Call of Duty. They're paying me well, and they
Mm-hmm.
want me to come do a photo shoot. And I'm gonna go
Okay.
do a photo shoot because, like, I've been posing with guns for fucking years. So
Okay.
this is the easiest $1,500 a day I've ever made, right?
Okay.
And so I was going out for this shoot, and there was this talk about, hey, potentially they might want to make you into a character, but I don't know, we may see. And then I want to also,
Hold that question, bro. You're
yeah,
going to be able to ask it when you get to call in. So just
yeah,
make sure you're following Hot Topic Celeb TV and at D-TEFLON. You can ask Jade that question live direct soon. Go
yeah,
ahead.
because I've got something to add about this, especially in terms of your father. I
Okay.
understand that. So yeah, we'll make sure that we keep that in tune. But as far as Call of Duty, so I had the potential of potentially having a character in this, but ultimately I was going for a shoot, and I was going for this shoot with a couple of people in my industry that I was already friends with. And so I was like, I'm gonna go hang out with my homies
Okay.
and shoot some pictures, right? Because this
Okay.
is like what I'm about. And my manager at the time was like, this is a bad idea. Like, you're gaffing off this shoot, like this long distance shoot that nobody's paying me to be there. And I'm just going there to fuck off my time. And for the potential of being in this game. And I said, listen, potential or not, this is where I'm going to be. So this is where
Mm-hmm.
I'm going. I'm
Okay.
going. And so I went, and, Activision was there and this, that, the other. And I really, to be honest with you at this time, I was in limbo. This was before everything happened, beginning of last year, and after I had left where I was at before.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm just here to have a good time. So I was cussing like a sailor, smoking my cigarettes, and I was like, well, realistic. And I was getting this character, which had not even
Okay.
existed yet. And I was like, well, if I was a character in this video game, I would be, and we're obviously not in the middle of combat because we're all hanging out together, like, kicking it. So I would be smoking cigarettes, and I would be talking shit, and I'd be working out, which is what
Mm-hmm.
I did, right? And so, but I was just fooling myself, and then we got off that gig and had a great time, and I was kind of figuring it out. And then I got a call about 2 months later saying, hey, Activision does want to make you a character, and here's 3 pieces of paperwork, sign these, go to this place on Wednesday and, get scanned in and do this. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, I'm there. So I signed all my paperwork, and I went in, and They didn't tell me anything about the character. They just they just scanned me. And by the way, at the time I was looking fucking hard, okay? And they made this character so thick, right? Like bottom heavy. And I may have been bottom heavy at the time, actually, now that I think about it. But I don't think
you did have a badonkadonk. You did have a
I
badonkadonk.
did, thank you.
Yeah.
But I don't think I was that thick up top, which is
Okay.
like what's important to me because like I, being a female, carry weight in my bottom half, but like me being Jade Struck, I want to carry it in my shoulders.
Okay.
Because my dad is a badass and he's been fit his entire life, and I want a lat spread and delts like my dad. So like I made sure that my freaking upper torso was impeccable, right?
Okay.
And so they scanned me into this game, and when I saw it, I was like built like a fridge. That's how somebody described me. She's like, "Damn, this Iskra is built like a fridge." I said, "She is built like a fridge." And what the fuck is up with that, right? I'm like, "Yo, Activision, you made me look fat." But maybe at the time I was a little thick, so who knows? But so they scanned me in, and I think the most rewarding part about being in the game has been the kids,
Okay.
is seeing how the kids love my character. I don't feel connected to Iskra really in any way. Like I feel she's cool, but like it's like any character that you play. I'm sure you can relate. It's like, there's a part of you there and she's my face and that's cool. But she's not my heart and she's not my soul. And I definitely didn't do the shooting portion for her. So like, I don't know. But
She didn't have any say in regards to the character? Like for your at all? That's weird because normally, and I mean, I don't know, you must have had a really bum manager because normally when it comes to video games, like, because again, it's you normally they either have a simulation where you come in there and you do your thing, your moves and whatever. And then second, it's like you have input when they are, well, not just what she does, but like even in the design part, like they usually have you come in there and you work with like an illustrator who does everything laid out, and then they put everything into the.
Not the case.
Your manager was bum shit, so whoever you are, you're a bum.
Then when I got the freaking call, I was at a movie premiere, and I called him, and I was like, "Hey, I got this blah blah blah," and he's like, "That's great, I told you." I said, "Motherfucker, you did not tell me. I told you." Okay, but no, and so, but that's been the most rewarding part is like how much the kids love Iskra, and then also how I can earn the parents brownie points by them knowing me and me sending them pictures of me as Iskra behind the scenes. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do, before we take some callers, I'm gonna do some rapid random questions for you. I want to.
I've really enjoyed being here with you, so thank you so much for having me.
Listen, man. I've wanted this. I didn't think this was ever gonna happen because you've been so busy, and we've been trying for this for so
years?
long. But I am more honored to have you on here because, as I said, there's very few people, Jade, in this world that truly fascinate me. And you have always been something where I have watched your journey, watched your growth, watched the star potential, watched every element, watched every video. And I'm like, every day, you're like, when I used to grow up, there used to be a book called Choose Your Own Adventure. And it was, and the book was, you could pick any character you want, but you could choose. Every page had a different adventure on it, so you could start and then go back and then start and go back and
cool.
And your story has been this amazing adventure. Yes, you've gone through bullshit, but to see how much you have grown in that short period of time and still growing. And that's why I said is that, the only mistake, Jade, you can make is not standing on your own 2 feet, regardless whether, listen, when help is there, it's great. Take it. But don't put yourself into a false sense of security that blanket is always going to be there, because when you do that, you're always giving someone else power to strip from you, to take from you, to own you in a way where you don't even see that they're owning you. And it's like,
Yeah.
you have to be able to say, okay, you know what? The same way you made the decisions to leave high school, the same way you made the decisions to leave the ranch, the same way you made the decisions to leave California, the same way decisions you made to leave Idaho.
Yeah.
These were points showing you, look, I can stand on my own 2 feet. But you're almost like this kid who knows they can jump into the deep end, but they're afraid to go that middle portion. Like they want to stay near the rail, where they're like, okay, well, we're in the deep end over here, and it's it's not too deep, but it's deep enough that like somebody breaking into a car over there.
It's the strip, man. And like it's like we're like right on the strip downtown Charleston.
Okay.
And these motherfuckers with their, I mean, I've never heard anybody be so reckless with their freaking beeper. I'm like, like what? What are you doing?
But no, but as I was saying is that like, to me, when you figure out and see that, how really in reality, and I know as I said, you look at, maybe Rudy being the person that helped you get out of that place. But in reality, Jade, you could have said no. You could have just stayed, and you really made that decision. You left that decision. You are, yes, we're in a situation where, as I said, you needed help to maybe, but I think now, and take from what you've gone through, use it as motivation to be like, you know what? I will never. And it doesn't, and I said, you could have the most wonderful relationship with your man, but you should know to yourself and say to yourself and not apologize this, to be like, you know what? I will never let any person, no man, no woman, no child, define my status of where I live, how I eat, through anybody. Like, this is my time for me to own my shit. And it's like, if you're here, cool, we keep rocking and we keep doing our thing, and we build that fucking empire. But hey, if I got to do it on my own, I'm good. I'm good either way. If someone's coming into your life, Jade, they're supposed to be there to enhance it, not change it. I came into your life because I'm like, yo, no one will ever fuck with you. And I mean that. Like, anyone even, I'll go on the record. You come for Jade. You come for fucking Jade Struck. You come for me. I'm letting that be fucking known. So understand, anybody who wants to talk shit or whatever, you put on fucking notice. Because I don't give a fuck. Like, yes, I may be in the public eye and all that other shit, but I don't let people, it's like, understand. Same like Shams. Shams, 2 years ago, same thing, was under attack in the media, in the news, just before he got SWAT, just before when he left Criminal Minds and he went on his hiatus and he was just doing his thing. People were talking shit. And I know the man. I've been with the man. I've ridden with the man. I've fucked with the man for 20-something years. And I won't let anybody. Like, even when we used to travel, and he was the only, I don't like, just like you, I don't like to travel a lot, but I do so much traveling because of work. But like, me and his relationship is like, you know what? Like, I don't got to tell him my deep and darkest secrets. He's like my escape, because as you know how Shams is, he's super fun, super energetic, super like vibing. So when I want to forget about life and shit, he'll be like, let's go to Miami, let's go here. And he's the only guy that can probably get me out of bed 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I'm going to go. Yeah. Because he allows me to have that escape. But it's like, I don't like the fact that people feel, especially on social media, your opinion don't motherfucking matter. Like, it just doesn't matter. Like, people think they're that important, that the things that they fucking say, but they also don't get that through all this shit. And we can be tough, and we can be strong, and we can be badasses, that me and you are. But we have a heart. We have emotions. We have real feelings like anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, certain things cut through. And I know when I've seen it, because I've gone through it with cyberbullying and all that other shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's the main reason why I started my foundation, which you'd be, as I said, a great ambassador for, because you've gone through it. The SBT Project Foundation is about taking a stand against and making the changes to social media that should have been done a long fucking time ago, because we've gone past the point of freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
It's just talking shit.
It's just abuse. It's just abuse.
And these social media platforms don't give a fuck about nobody's mental health.
No.
And knowing the effects that it has on people like you, like me, like people that are in the public eye, that, you know what? Until you walk a fucking mile in my shoes, your shoes,
I don't want to hear it.
I don't want to fucking hear it.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't last. Most of these people wouldn't last 5 minutes, Jade. They wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes. What you went through 2 years ago, they would sit there and be like cowering in a fucking corner somewhere, you know. And understand the thing. What people don't realize is that sometimes making a choice that's best for you comes with opposition from weak minds. People that aren't smart enough to understand what she did, what you did, Jade. It wasn't weakness. It was strength. And yes, you made mistakes, and yes, you grow from them and you learn from them. But you owned it.
Yeah.
And you said,
it's a part of the story.
Yeah. Story.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, what's it all for? We talk about legacy, right? And for me, it's like, you know, I was being pushed and pressured to go. I mean, TMZ was calling me and all this shit. And I said, listen, motherfuckers, I don't even know where I'm at right now, right? I'm like, yeah, I just need like a minute to breathe for a second so I can handle my own personal shit before I even go on record about anything. But it's a part of your story, you know? And like for me, I wouldn't change a damn thing because like I wouldn't be where I'm at now. I can't believe I came out of it. But I'm grateful that I did.
I knew you would. I knew you would.
Thank you. Thank
so
you.
Here is I'm asking you some random questions.
Can I use the restroom really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, I'll be really quick.
Yep. I gotta get a drink anyway too.
Okay, good. 1 second.
Guys,
we're taking a break, everybody. Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna mute you too. I also just want to say to anybody watching this and to Jacob that little chimed in here, I appreciate you. Rosetta, I appreciate you. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us on this. And thank you, because I've not really been doing much of my own publicity of whatever for quite some time. So I'm grateful to be in a space now where I can, and I feel comfortable doing so, and that you guys care to listen. So I'm going to use the restroom, but thank you guys for everything. I love you guys, truly with all my heart. Thank you so much. And I'll be back in like 3 seconds. So I'm a quick bathroom user, so I'll be right back. Love you guys. Thank you for everything. I'm going to mute you, though, because I don't need any listening ears. You know what I mean? Okay, 1 second. Love you guys. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, Cedric. Okay, give me like 2 minutes.
Welcome back, guys. I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight on HotTopicsCelebTV.com. I am your host, D-TEFLON on the MIC. We're just taking a little intermission break. Tonight, joining us, of course, Jade Struck. We'll be taking some callers in very shortly. So if you guys make sure you have your questions ready. If you want to ask Jade a question, I'll be letting up callers in live into this podcast tonight. In order for you to get into the live to ask Jade a question, you have to go right now and follow my account, which is at DTEFLON DTEFLON so I can see your question and let you into the room. Also, follow at Hot Topic Celeb TV. If you're not following both accounts, you will not be able to get into the live. So make sure you guys do that right now. Take a chance to go follow at DTEFLON and at Hot Topic Celeb TV. Don't forget, of course, if you missed this full show and you want to watch the full episode entirely when it airs, make sure you guys log on to the link into the bio, which is hottopicscelebtv.com. Click the subscribe button, and you guys will never miss an episode, and you'll be notified when this episode airs. Don't forget, of course, this is our final episode for season 1. We'll be taking a hiatus for about 2 weeks, and then we'll be back with season 2. I want to thank all you guys for joining us tonight and who have tuned in on this show. Hopefully, you guys can let us know where you're from. Also, make sure you guys have your questions ready that you want to ask Jade. Welcome back, Jade.
Hi.
Okay, hold on. I got to take a sip of my drink here.
What did you get to drink?
Some fucking solo fucking pop thing here. Green lime.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you could learn the answer to one question about your future, what would the question be?
Am I going to have babies?
Do you want babies?
I do. God
Girl
willing.
Girl or boy?
I'll take whatever the Lord wants to give me. Babies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want babies? Hold on. Time freezes for everyone, just like in the Matrix. But you for one day. What does Jade do?
I wake up and I make some coffee and I walk the streets. And then I somehow find somebody who has a horse nearby and I steal their horse. And I ride their horse. And then from there, I run around the beach and then cook something to eat. And then at some point I've worked out and that's it.
Okay. What is something Jade Struck is obsessed with?
Animals, dogs, my dog.
What is your favorite way to waste time?
Singing on. I've got a sweet little setup. I'll show you. Here, I'll bring you over here.
Okay.
This is my house.
On a tour with Jade's house, guys.
Yeah, and this is my. And I do this all the time. Here, I'll turn on some lights.
Okay.
This is my imagination station, and I got a PA and I got an amp.
Okay.
Set up. This is also the rack of the elk that I killed 2 years ago. Took a piece of my soul. And this is my microphone. And my favorite way to waste time is by turning this baby on. Here, I'll even show you. And I got it all set up for my voice and my tune. And I just sit here and I sing CCR and Chris Stapleton. Hello, how you doing? Can you hear us?
Can you sing a song for us?
I had a feeling that you were going to ask me that. No. But I bet I could. But I'm not
Sing me something. Sing me anything.
No.
Sing me anything. Anything. If you want to put a music on over it, with the sing over it, you can. Find a beat or something, whatnot. I'll give you a minute to get a song in your head.
No.
Yes. This is your time, Jade. This is time to break out of your comfort zone, man. This is your shot.
No.
Remember it's about breaking uncomfortability. So this is a time to push you.
I knew you were gonna do this.
This is a time to push you.
I knew you were. No.
This is the time, Jade. Just give me something. Give me something.
I'm so embarrassed.
You don't need to be embarrassed because the world loves you and I love you. And this is your moment to shine. If you can shoot a gun, you can sing.
Okay, but I need to. Okay, but I gotta pretend like you're not here.
Okay.
Oh my God, I can't believe you have me doing this.
Listen. You're gonna love me tomorrow after.
Oh my God. Okay. Someone told me long ago that there's a calm before the storm, and I know it's been coming for some time. I don't even know if this is the right words.
You have a beautiful voice. Go ahead.
Thank you. And when it's over, so they say, it'll rain on sunny days, and I know it can't stop. I wonder. Okay, I'm done.
I love it, man. You have a good voice, man.
Oh fuck! I'm
Guys,
so nervous. I'm
you learned
sweating.
something. You learned something new tonight, guys.
I
Only here on
can't believe you did that.
HotTopicCelebTV.com.
The only
Only
reason
here.
why is because I've been drinking some wine.
Okay.
And I gotta be completely transparent with you. I quit drinking, but I only drink when I don't feel like I have to, only because I want to. And so I drank some wine.
This is why I tell people, ladies and gentlemen, Jade Struck is the baddest woman alive that I know, because there's nothing that I feel that this woman cannot do and do well. So add that to the repertoire. Singing, badass, shooter, gamer, model, actress. She does
Dog
it all.
mom.
Dog mom, cat mom.
Yeah, baby, cat mom too.
She does it all, man.
Thank you.
Okay. So hold on a second.
Oh my God, I can't believe I did that.
Well, I'm glad you did it. What is something that is popular now that annoys you?
Okay. Okay. You know how, like, because, like, bikini pics are, like, ruling Instagram? When girls wear the bikini upside down.
What the fuck?
Bugs the shit out of me.
What do you mean upside down?
Like, let me see if I can find bikini. We're going to my room.
Okay.
I'll show you.
I love the top you're wearing, by the way.
Thank you. It's so old.
Yeah, what is it?
This is like, it's a bralette.
Yeah, it's nice.
Thank you. Okay, here we go. Okay. Okay, now we're going back out here because the lighting is better. I'm gonna show you this shit. This bothers the shit out of me.
You look like Demi Moore right now.
Thanks.
In the dark.
No. Oh, thank you. In the dark. You just keep the lights off. Here. I'm wearing a kimono too.
Yeah, no, you look like a young G.I. Jane right now.
Thank you. Okay, I gotta take it off though.
Okay.
It's funny, because we were talking about like my body, like how I like transformed or whatever.
How you're like a fucking machine now and make me feel like a fat slob.
You're not a fat slob, but like caca. But I took the last week to not. So I don't know if you saw this or not. I've been very open about the fact that I'm on my period right now.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
All I see is fucking abs. That's all I see is abs. Your stomach looks like Rudy's.
Thank you. Okay, so let's see. Because I've never done this, because I've sworn that I will never do this. But let's see if I can figure this the frick out. Because this is what these ladies are doing.
I've never seen the woman wear her thing upside down. So this is going to be new to me, guys.
This is a fashion faux pas, as far as I'm concerned. So, like, I don't even know how to do it. But, what they do is so this is originally supposed to be the bottom of the bikini, okay, right?
Okay.
And they wear it as, they wear it upside down. So they wear it like that. Okay. And this is like the biggest fashion disaster I've ever seen in my life. Okay. Because this is not how bikinis are meant to be worn, but this is how they're doing it. So they're wearing it upside down like that. And actually some of them will go like this. Go ahead.
Is it because some people who probably have fake boobs where their boobs are wider?
I have no idea. But they'll even go like this. No, I don't think so. I think it's just the thing that people are doing. I think it's the most heinous shit I've ever seen. So thank you for giving me a place to talk about it, because I thought to myself today, I was like, that is the most heinous crap. And who said that this was okay? That's what I want to know. But anyway, so you see this?
Okay.
How bottom, this is it. So that is the biggest thing that's been.
So I wouldn't even have noticed that. I wouldn't even have noticed that it's upside down.
I'll send you some pictures.
Yeah, I would not even have noticed that because it looks normal to me.
But shout out to Single Life for the bikini. It's my friend's company. I actually like it a lot, but the problem is that the bottoms are too revealing. I don't really like being super revealing. Unless I'm full on naked. But even at that point, I don't feel like I'm being revealing. I just feel like I'm being how God made me.
Yeah, well, it depends what you're doing it for. I mean, to me, photos should be telling a fucking. If you're doing this shit for real, not being some Instagram bitch, But if you're doing the modeling shit for real, it should be telling a story.
Mm-hmm.
Because photos are an artistic form of expression. That's what modeling is. It's supposed to be telling a story. Whether you're doing it for a brand,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're doing it for a company, or whether you're doing it, just in building a portfolio. But not just this selfie shit that girls want to do. It's a whole other story for another day.
Thank you.
Hold on. Okay. What do you do to get rid of stress?
I play with my dog.
Okay.
And I don't get rid of it. I just feed off of it.
What 3 words best describe Jade Struck?
Kind, truly at the heart of me. And it's not pompous that I say that, but I really mean that. Everybody that I even put my eyes on, I really truly want the best for them. So kind. And I would say I'm funny, but I just good at cracking stupid jokes. Kind, funny, and affectionate.
Where is the most beautiful place you've been?
Key West, Florida.
Where is the most relaxing place you've ever been?
Key West, Florida.
What word or saying from the past do you think should come back?
I don't know much of the sayings of the past, but there is a quote that I like, and that it's that by failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. I like that quote. I like always being ready.
If you stay ready, you never need to get ready, my friend.
Right.
What was the last movie you watched?
Manhunter.
Do you prefer to watch movies in the comfort of your home or in a theater?
My home. In my bed, specifically.
What was the last funny video you saw?
It was a dog. So I spend my time surfing Instagram at dog videos.
Okay.
And it was a dog. And this dog was in this, and I can just so relate because my dog drives me freaking crazy. But it was this golden retriever with this beautiful golden hair in this mud puddle, rubbing its face in this, and it's just black. It's just fucking black. And I can just imagine what these owners are thinking, because I would lose my mind at trying to wash this dog. I hate washing my dog, but I'll do it. And it pans over from the dog to the dad, and the dad's face is just like, and that I love that video. So that was it.
What's a secret talent that you have that no one knows?
I'm a really good dancer. I pole dance.
Oh yeah? Oh yeah.
I've got rhythm like you would not believe. I've got rhythm like I wouldn't believe. I see myself dance. I'm like, whoa, who is that?
Next podcast, we're going to have you dancing next.
Okay. I use the pillars because I don't have a pole right now. I do like pole dancing.
Okay.
I don't have a pole, so I just use these pillars.
Does that work?
Kinda.
What's a song that always puts you in a good mood?
Green River by CCR.
What's a song, whenever you hear it, brings a tear to your eye?
Live Like You Were Dying by Tim McGraw.
Who was the first band or musician?
Oh, wait,
Jade
and I
was
also want to add on to that.
Yep.
This one, anytime I hear it or sing it, I cry. It's called Fancy by Reba McEntire.
Yeah, I've heard that song before. It's a good song.
Dude, that song makes me cry.
Who was the first band or musician you were really into growing up?
Paramore.
Never
You know
heard
Paramore?
That. No.
Paramore, the lead singer, her name's Hayley Williams. She's got orange hair, at least when I was a kid, and she had these fucked up bangs. And I wanted to be like her, so I fucked up my bangs too.
What are the 3 best apps?
Wait, what was the question?
Who was the first band or musician you were really into growing up?
I gotta scratch that, because that was like who I was most passionate about. But still to this day, who I love and my first memory of music is Counting Crows.
Okay, a good group. What are the 3 best apps on your phone right now?
My period tracker app.
Is there seriously an app for that?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
my period tracker app, my maps function would not be able to. I mean, I could do it, but like I wouldn't want to. My maps function, and then Instagram, I guess.
A mysterious app right now appears on your phone,
Mm-hmm.
and it does something really amazing. What does it do?
It freaking picks out my outfits for me.
Your outfits. You have great style. You don't even pick up your outfits, you.
I know, but I just hate it.
Okay, so speaking of
If it
style,
were up
man.
to me, I would just like wear a sports bra and leggings or nothing, you know? It's like no in between.
That's like me. I'm either in a suit or naked. I only have 2 wardrobes. That's it. I tell people all the time, like,
That's good.
but I tell people, don't call me, don't video call me. Because if you video call me, I ain't changing. So you're either getting all of me raw.
Getting that dangling diner.
You're getting that dangling diamond, or you're getting me in a suit. So your choice.
They're both classy.
Hey, that's what
and
I
classic.
say. That's what I say, man. I came in this world naked. I will leave it naked.
Yes, you will.
What is then a fashion trend that you're really glad went away then?
High-waisted shorts.
Yeah, I hate those fucking things.
Ugh.
What is then the most comfortable piece of clothing you own?
Leggings.
How many pairs of shoes does Jade Struck own?
Probably 15.
What's the most ridiculous thing in your house or that you've ever owned that you bought?
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Something where you were like,
can I show you?
Yeah. Even better. I love it when you have something to show me.
Okay, I got something to show you, my friend. That is so funny that you bring this up because I brought this up to Rudy the other day because I got it thinking like it was going to be this like fun thing of like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the most useless thing I've ever bought in my life, but it's just funny. Let's see if I can find it. Where is it? Ha! I found it, Cameron. Bring it back out to the light.
Okay.
Okay, you ready for this? It's technically a sex toy, okay?
Oh, yeah. Hey,
Okay.
now you're talking my fucking language.
Okay. But it's okay. It's this.
Hold on. I got to.
And what it's supposed to do, that's a
Okay.
great hit of the light.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like, I don't know what the fuck it's supposed to do. It's like for your feet, I would assume. Okay. But I've never used it. It's literally sat in my drawer for years.
Is it not a vibrator?
No, it's spiky. It's for your feet.
Oh, well, I've seen vibrators like that before, though.
No fucking way.
Yeah, I've seen vibrators like that.
Okay,
I can't remember the name of it. It's like they call it like a fluffer. So it's like it will work the clitoris, whatnot, like in that area. It looks almost the exact same.
Okay, well, I thought it was for your feet.
No, that looks like a fluffer, man. Hey, listen, man. Gotta spice things up sometimes with you and Rudy, man.
Okay, yeah, well, I'm gonna have to figure that out because
Yeah.
like I busted this out the other day and I was like, I don't even know what the fuck.
Yeah,
'Cause
it looks like a fluffer because
Really?
it's you either that again like that one is either used for, like there's 2 ways you get. I mean, gays sometimes will use it for the butt,
Okay.
so you can use it as a fluffer in the ass and whatever, and then but women usually will sometimes use that as a fluffer for the clitoris, whatnot.
Okay.
So it's almost like a roller, whatnot, but it doesn't have like it's like if you're not wanting to have that penetration of like a dildo feeling, they use it like a roller around the clitoris. So they just roll it back and forth, around and around and around. And guys will use it on their women the same way.
Huh. Okay.
Where did you get it
The more
from?
you know. I think I probably got it from Hustler.
Yeah, it looks like a fluffer.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
then
so-
there you go. No wonder it was so useless. I'm like, it's like for your feet. I'm like,
So
I don't-
Rudy, man, I know you're watching this. You better be fucking doing the shit when you get home with that thing, man. Don't
I
be leaving
know.
your woman slacking.
Thank you. I know. I got to figure this thing out because I was like, for my feet, like I don't give a. There's so many other things that need attention.
You can use it on your feet, but like it usually, as I said, it's like I have trigger points on my body. Like if a woman touches a certain area, I'm like, I'm done.
I'm like,
Yeah. So like if it's good if you are sensitive, like in certain areas, but if you're not, then it's perfect for, it's called the fluffer. It's perfectly for your like use for that area.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
The more you know. Okay, well, this was the most ridiculous and like unuseful thing, but now that I know that I'm actually using it for the wrong thing, it may not be.
Exactly.
So there you go.
So, obviously, you being a sex symbol, been hit on many times. What's the funniest pickup line that's ever been used on Jade?
I don't know. I never really pay attention to these things.
Okay, what when you and Rudy met? Who made the
Oh God.
approach, and how did you guys connect? What was the first thing he said to you and you said to him? Or who approached who first?
He was like, okay, I saw him on social media and I was like, okay, like that's going to be my next boyfriend. Got off. Didn't follow him, didn't do anything. But I've done this since I was a kid. Since I was a kid, I've been like, that's going to be my next boyfriend.
Yep, I'm the same.
And that's it. Yeah. And so that's how I've had literally all my exes. Like all my exes were that way, especially the most recent ones. And so I said, okay, that's my next man. Got off his page. And then I got a message from him that was like, do you want to train? Like, I love what you're doing, which, you know, who knows. But do you want to train?
Train what?
Like fitness.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, like I want to train, right? I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm not getting together with you so we can work out. Like, that's ridiculous. I ended up getting us I got us like a $600 room on the beach in Santa Monica and a bottle of tequila. And
Damn,
I was like,
girl.
I was
on
20.
The first.
I was 20 years old.
Were women like you, ladies and gentlemen? Please, ladies, step your fucking game
I
up.
was working my ass off and I had nothing to spend it on. Like, and so he was coming in town and I was like, okay, well, I don't want him to travel all the way out to see me. It's like an hour from LA.
Okay.
It was like, just meet me here. And so I booked us a hotel room and then I picked him up, or I waited for him. He was there. And then, you know, he got out of the car, I was smoking a cigarette. Meanwhile, this dude's hitting on me. The guy that was next to me is like trying to chop me up. And I'm like, motherfucker, I'm here waiting for someone. Like, I'm literally here waiting for someone. And then he got out of this car. I thought he was going to be taller. Don't tell him I said that. But like, but he's perfect.
How tall is he?
He's like 5'11".
And how tall are you?
I'm 5'7".
Okay.
But I thought that he was going to be like 6'3", because like in his pictures he looked
like my height.
So tall.
Because I'm 6'3".
Yeah, and he wasn't. And so I was wearing heels, thinking that this man was going to be 6'3", and like I was going to have to like reach. I dated a tall guy once. He was like 6'2". And after like 6 months, I was like, my fucking neck hurts. Like I was so I was like, I got bitchy about it. I was like, my neck hurts from like trying to kiss you all the time. So I was like, I'm gonna wear heels to avoid that problem.
But that's why guys are stupid like that. Because when you're taller, it's a very simple fix for that. Always make sure when you bring your woman over or you're over at her place, just have her be on the couch and stand up, and you're always gonna be. And to me, and when she kisses you, and your face on, you can easily cup her ass, pick her up, carry her around the room, bring her back, and then you're right back in the same position again. She never has to feel like, you know, like she's always having to break her neck. So. Yeah.
And see, exactly. And so anyways, he got out of the car and I was wearing heels and I thought I was going to be taller. I put out my cigarette, stomped on it. And then it just walked up and just fucking kissed him, you know? But I don't really pull any punches. I already knew that this was also going to be like, I don't know if anybody else knew where this was going, but I fucking knew where this was going the entire time. And so
you're like me. You're direct and to the point, man. As I said, there's not a lot of women. Which is why I've been single for the last fucking decade. Because it's like, I don't beat around the bush either. Like, I'm like, I don't believe in dating. Never have, never will. Like, I've
never been on a date.
It's like, if I know something, I don't got to talk to you. I don't got to speak to you. I just know. We may never meet, but if we give me that chance to fucking meet, I already know, and then it's like I leave it up to them. But I mean, I find people now they want to play this fucking game, this fucking song that chase me, you chase. Fuck it. Like if you want somebody and they want you, like just don't beat around the bush. Just get it over and done with. And so What was the first thing he said to you, like when you guys first like saw each other?
I think I walked up, I kissed him, and then I pulled back and I said hi. And
what did
he said hi. Or
Did you
something.
know? Did you know in that? Like, I mean, I knew you knew, but like, obviously, a kiss changes everything. But did you feel?
I
Because
knew I
obviously, it
was
may have
in love
taken.
with him. I knew I was. Because I was on a hunting trip and I was texting him and I didn't want to stop texting him.
Mm-hmm.
And I already knew that I was in love with this man, even though I didn't know what the fuck I was getting into, but I knew I was in love with this man.
But how do you know it's? This is the thing why I ask women like that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you define lust over love?
Because also when I started seeing him, I knew he had a lot of issues. Like I knew that he had a drug problem. I knew that he had an alcohol issue, and I knew that he was fucked up. But I was
Mm-hmm.
also so fucked up at the time, you know. I was 20, and I knew that this person was not bullshitting me.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that he had been through so much in his life that he needed love.
Mm-hmm.
And I also knew that I was in a place that I had been through so much that I needed to give love because I've not given love to myself or anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew that I needed to give him love. And then I also kept the distance too because I also knew that, you know, I was in a relationship, but it was open. So at the time I was like, you know, just kind of doing my thing. And he asked me if I was in a relationship and I told him that I was. I was honest with him. I said, yeah, I am. But, you know, I didn't need to go into details about my fucking relationship. But I was like, you know, I am, but I'm not beholden to anyone. I don't want to miss out on the opportunity to get to know you because I really have a feeling that I'm in love with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he really grasped that concept right away. But that next morning after we spent the night together, I told him, I said, you know, you make me want to have babies. And
Wow.
And what that meant to me was I had written off marriage and I had written off children. And those were things that I was not going to allow myself to have. Like I had already decided that I will not allow myself to feel these two things that are good, right? And when I met him, I said to him, you know, you make me want to have babies. To tell him almost, you make me want to love myself the way that I've not allowed myself to be loved by me or anybody else in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And he just said, okay, you know, and I was like, okay. And then I cried driving home, leaving him. So it was a lot.
That's beautiful, Jade. Honestly, I mean, I am, for someone that's gone through hell and back in relationships, and when two people can find each other, you know, in a time when, but this is why I even said to you, like, it's good that you both found each other in a time, as you said, when you both were fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why, to me, as I said, I stress again, it's most important for you on your journey to make sure that you become completely whole with him and within the relationship, without him, with him,
But
because
most importantly, within self. Right?
Exactly. Because if you don't, and where you both were this lifeline almost like to each other when you found each other, you, as you said, you were crying on the way home. You don't want to have that separation anxiety if things go sour, and then now you're even in a more lost state than you were before because you're trying to figure out, okay, like I got to this place where I'm happy, but understand, you have to be happy, Jade, fully happy, fully present, fully aware with you first.
I agree.
Not with just healing him and fixing him, because even for himself, you may have healed him where he sees, okay, this woman, this beautiful, vibrant, amazing woman who has accepted me with my flaws and my hardships and my deficiencies. But he also, as a man, has to realize that, you know what, that it's great for this woman to be in my corner. But in order for me to truly know that I am healed, I got to do the work by
On my
myself as
own.
well. I can't be just looking at this as a Band-Aid for each other, where it's like, okay, the bleeding
Totally.
underneath is still there, the wound is still fucking there, but I put this Band-Aid over it and I ripped it off real quickly because it felt electric. When you rip that feeling off of that Band-Aid, you're like, oh, that feels good.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, and for you leaving LA was like, okay, this is this amazing journey that we're doing together. We leave and we go to Idaho, and then we go to Idaho to South Carolina and
Yeah.
Charleston, and all these things are seeming, as I said, very exciting and new. And you're like, hey, he's got me and I've got him, and all this stuff is great. But then you miss the point of like self direction of why you took this journey in the first place. Because understand, whether Rudy came into your life, Jade, or not, you left a place that you didn't feel safe, comfortable,
At all.
and you took a chance to make a decision, to make a life-changing moment. And that's where you have to look at it, is that, you know what? It's great that you didn't have to make this journey by yourself, but you also have to say, I've been doing this journey by myself regardless.
Yeah.
Because as you said, you had a twin. You have a fucking twin. And you had to establish your own identity, your own presence, your own person on your own. You could still be, you could have mirrored your twin. Like some twins do, they're never apart. They're always together. They're always doing shit together. And then you see them like, who the fuck's who?
Right.
Like you don't even know who the fuck who is, because one person may be quiet, one person may be a little bit more outgoing. Sometimes they may have both the same personality. Then as a guy, you're like, fuck, who do I date? Like this girl, that girl, like
date them both. No, I'm just kidding.
sometimes you get fucked up, you don't know who you're talking to.
I know.
Maybe DM the one girl, you're like, wait a minute. Wait, I don't know who the fuck I'm DMing. Okay, these are all things, but again, you made a decision to make the travel that journey by yourself. And from him, if he is and understand, if he is your soulmate, as you say, and he is the man to be, and he is the one for you to have babies with, then all of those things, Jade, will happen because, as you say, they will happen because they're supposed to happen, but not because you're forcing it or falling into a false sense of belief for, I want to have babies because I want to feel the love that I didn't have through this kid. But understand, there's nothing worse, Jade, because I know a lot of fucking single mothers who had the same thought process as you and then made mistakes and then got into a relationship, thought it was perfect. I was able to read through all the fucking holes. They ignored me, and then boom, they're single. And now they're stuck with a kid. And now it's like, okay, this kid, are you there? I lost your audio, Jade. I lost your audio.
I'm right here.
Okay, now you're.
I'm just chewing. I'm sorry.
No problem. Basically, they're stuck in this situation where now the cycle that they went through now happens with the kid. Because now when the man's not there as that lifeline, now it's the fucking kid who becomes the lifeline. Then there's this pressure now where it's like, I can't do nothing without the fucking kid, because if I'm not with the kid, I lose myself. Then that kid grows up. That kid's now having attachment issues because she's going to be so clingy and knowing what she's gone through of the world not being a fair place. Now that kid inherits that shit. And that's why I'm saying the work that needs to be done, if this is meant to be, and as I said, nothing will make me happier. Hopefully I get an invite to the wedding. To see you in your dress and see you in your element and all that shit, because you deserve nothing less than to be happy and be with someone that loves you and appreciates you. And I know what it's like not to have that, because I've had it. I've lacked it most of my life, of not having that person, having that I mean, I've given so much to relationships, and I've lost myself, friends, people, business, work, and just like you said you were working for so long, and now you're in this sort of break where you're like, okay, you know what? I need to find balance because you realize, work is great, keeps us busy, keeps us motivated, but when you go through the shit you've gone through, you're like, there's more. There's more to my life than this. My life should not be defined on how well I shoot a gun or
how much money I'm making.
how much money I'm making. Because all of those things, as I said, you can get them, but they be taken away very quickly. And the one thing you can't get back, Jade, is time. You can't. And that's why I say it's like, you know what? Like, if this journey is meant to be for you and Rudy, which, as I said, you look great together, all that shit, but the internal growth is most important, more than even your relationship with him.
I agree. I know, and that's what I'm working on. I'm balancing right now.
Hold on. Okay, hold on a second. Hold on. I lost your audio there, I think.
It's no problem.
Oh, okay, hold on.
Can you hear me chewing?
Yep, that's fine.
Sorry.
Guys, don't forget tonight you are joining us I want to thank you guys for all staying up with us tonight to join on this conversation to tell the Jade Struck story. We've normally gone longer than we normally, but I wanted to give a very special dedication. This is our last episode for season 1. I wanted to give her a full platform to be able to share an insight for you guys to get to know this woman in a way that you probably have never been able to do since following her, if you were a fan of her work and a fan of hers. Hopefully after this, those who have sat in judgment, who have questioned who this woman is, hopefully now you know the real side of Jade Struck, the beautiful soul she is, and you appreciate the fact that she's been able to give us on Hot Topic Celeb TV this time, and you guys this time. And Jade, I thank you for giving your time this evening with us.
Thank you.
Okay. So, if you could call up anyone in the world right now, living or dead, and have a 1-hour conversation, who would you call?
My grandpa. Or my grandma. My grandma just recently passed.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay, thank you. I appreciate that. It was good for her to be pain-free. But probably my grandma, because I can't call my grandpa, but I can't call my grandma.
Okay.
And in the last few conversations that we had have been really beautiful and insightful. So I'd probably call my grandma.
Who would you most likely, once you're able to fly again, who would you most likely like to sit to? If you could sit to anybody right now, living or dead, on a 10-hour flight, who would you want to sit next to, and why?
John McCain.
Wow, okay. Why John McCain?
John McCain. Because I have a lot of respect for the man. And, he was a prisoner of war for 7 years in the Hanoi Hilton during Vietnam. And he's no longer with us. But as I've gotten older, I've found a deep love and appreciation for the man. And so if I could, I would sit next to him. Also because, he played the political game.
Okay.
And he didn't win because he wasn't cutthroat enough, i.e. he wasn't evil enough. And so I would like to talk to a man that stayed true to his values and his beliefs and sacrificed his career because of that, and kind of pick his brain a bit on why and how and who, you know?
Okay.
That's what I think.
Who is your biggest inspiration? A two-part question.
Okay.
Inspiration in life, who's like
hmm
somebody that's out there that's truly inspired you,
hmm
and who has inspired you as a shooter?
Mm. Okay, the first part of the question was who in my life has inspired me?
Yeah, living or dead, anybody, like somebody that were like you look at them and you're like, you get true inspiration from them. Like you look at their life and you're like, you know what? This person really
Jesus.
mi- mirrors my life.
Um, I don't believe that I mirror his life at all, but Jesus, because I read the
Okay.
word in the morning, and I think I try to carry his words with me throughout the day, and so I try to keep him close to home and close to my brain when I'm
Okay.
going through things. Try to have grace and mercy, you know.
Okay.
And then, what was the second question?
Your inspiration as a shooter, like somebody that you and like you've either worked with on the gun range or someone that you want to possibly, either train with or shoot with one day, whether it be in a competition. Who has a shooter out there that inspires you right now?
Mm,
Where you're like, this woman is really badass, or a male, or a woman. Because to me, I don't think there's. I know you don't see it, but I don't think there's anybody better than you. That's just my opinion
thank
because
you.
I have never seen anybody move. The only person I've ever seen that is probably more badass than you with a gun, because I worked with him in Collateral, was Tom Cruise. And
I love Tom Cruise.
yes, and his training as Vincent. Every time when I watch, because I have your video saved on my computer of your reel, and I'm like, every time I watch your hand speed from the side pocket to how quickly you run and shoot and stop and position and nail off
And
the,
go.
and go. It reminded me so much of our training when we went through Collateral. And Tom looked like a motherfucking hitman. Like he
And
could.
you did that with what's his name? Gary? Who
Which
did you
Gary?
do the training with? Collateral.
What the fuck was his name? It was 2004. I'm trying to remember what the hell was. Yeah, it was Gary?
Yeah, I think it was. It was Gary. I
Yeah.
forget his last name. At Front Sight?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gary something.
I can't remember
Anyways, I
yeah.
do know who you're talking, or I do know who you trained with. Then maybe Tom. I would say Tom. Because
That'd
I
be
don't really have anybody
badass.
that I like aspire to be like. I'm not really like big on the whole thing right now. So if there's anybody like that I would choose.
But what about competitive shooting right now? Like if there's somebody out there that you
No,
watch their work and you're like,
no, I don't even care that much. Like, I don't even
because you're
care.
so badass, you don't need to. That's the
No,
thing.
it's
Is
just
that
like I'm not even there anymore. I think if anybody would be Rudy because he's so consistent.
okay?
He's so consistent. I mean, he's just always there. And I would love that because I'm not consistent. I'm all over the place. So Tom, let's say Tom, and if not Tom, then Rue.
Okay. Who is your favorite entertainer? Comedian, musician, and actor?
Mm, okay, let's say actor,
Mm-hmm.
Nicole Kidman.
Okay.
Okay, I love her. Musician. Okay. Well, I'm loving Chris Stapleton right now
Okay.
as his music goes, but like if I were to say like my favorite old time like entertainment video, Gary Newman with 9 Inch Nails doing Cars.
Wow. Okay.
That's the shit right there. Or anything David Bowie.
Yeah, he would be. David would be dope.
And then
David Bowie.
comedian,
Yep.
Cho. What's her
Oh,
name? Cho.
who? Cho.
She says, college. Amy Cho. College. Very gay time.
I never heard of her.
Okay, I'm gonna send you some links.
Okay.
Amy Cho, so good. She's the best.
Okay, last question here, then we'll take some callers.
Okay.
If you had a personal mascot,
hmm
what would your mascot be?
My dog, Hank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I got two more.
Okay.
What is the because you've done a lot in your life. What is the craziest, most outrageous thing that you want to achieve that someone told you was impossible for you to achieve?
Nobody told me that I can't, but I think that they
Okay.
do in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna be a superstar musician one day. I'm gonna work
What
on it.
what do you want to what instrument?
I'm gonna sing.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm gonna dance on
I think you
stage.
should do honestly. I think you should stick with that singing because you have a really great voice.
Thank you, friend.
What do you now for Jade? What's next? What do you hope to accomplish in your professional life?
Working with you.
Which is a done deal.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Okay, guys. So we're gonna take
That
a
was
couple.
fun.
It
Thank
was
you.
amazing. We're gonna take a couple callers, guys. Here. So have your questions ready. I'm gonna link you guys into the room here. I'm gonna see if you have a question. Make sure, as I said, you're following at DTEFLON. Make sure you follow that right now at DTEFLON and at Hot Topic Celeb TV. If you're not following both, I will not be able to accept you into the call. So we'll see who's on the call list here. You guys can click on the invite request, which is on the option there, and I will send you a request into the room. Make sure you're in a good Wi-Fi area and you don't have your junk out and shit because nobody wants to see any of that crap. So make sure you got clothes on and stuff because we don't really want to see your shit flopping everywhere, guys. So
No.
make sure you have your question ready, and we're going to see who's on right now.
Is somebody already on waiting?
We'll see.
Okay.
Yep, we got so Francesco, you are up, my friend, first. Hopefully
Hello?
he's still on here. You got to wait till you. Francesco, if you're on, please connect. I'm sending you a request right now.
We can do 3 people on this?
Yep.
Oh, how cool is that?
I can do 4 people actually too, but I'll do
Wow.
one at a time. Hold on. Okay, Francesco did not pick up. So next caller. Tiago, whoever you are, I'm sending you a request right now. Guys, make sure if you want to ask Jade a question directly, drop an invite request in the invite. In order for you to do so, you have to be following this account, Hot Topic Celeb TV, and you have to be following at DTEFLON. If you're not following, you will not be accepted into the room. Hold on.
Tell them.
Okay, he's just unable to join here, but
It's okay.
okay. King of Fitness, I'm going to send the request to you, my friend, because I know you had a earlier question you wanted to ask Jade.
And if not, we can answer his question that he asked on here.
Okay. Hold on.
It's a good question.
King of Fitness, I'm sending you a request right now, my friend, so hopefully you are here to answer.
Thank you for letting me eat, by the way.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time.
I'm getting now I'm back. Because I was kind of whoa, I'm so low energy.
Guys, if you're wanting to ask Jade a question, this is your chance to do so and jump in the room here live. I'm sending you guys a request, but you have to send a request here. Make sure you are following at Hot Topics Celeb TV and at DTEFLON. If you're not doing so, you will not be able to come into the room and ask Jade a question. You can send a request to join the conversation, and I will accept you in here. Okay, he's not answering.
I just realized you couldn't hear me.
Yeah. Rack Venom, you're up. Hopefully you answer because you're in the queue here too. Guys, this is your chance if you're still awake and on here. And he didn't answer.
Okay. Let's go in here. Into the comments, if you're down.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The question is how do I restore or reconcile with my family? My dad hurt me in so many ways that left me damaged to the point where I'm unable to feel like I deserve to feel loved, safe, and achieve in life. I would say, so my therapist recently has been talking to me about my issues with my parents. And it's not so much my issues with my parents, but issues with my feeling of not being loved the way that I wanted to be when I was young. And what she has advised me to do is to understand that you have to love people for who they are now and where they're at now. And you can't force or make anybody love you in the way that you need to be loved. You have to do that for yourself. I myself, in terms of, especially with my father, because he said, my dad hurt me in so many ways that left me damaged to the point where I'm able to feel like I deserve to feel loved. You know, my dad told me that he disapproved of the decision that I was making to really better my life. And what I had to understand was that me and my dad